No, I'm gonna. You know,
but he wants to.
You know, in Futurama, when Fry drinks 300 cups of coffee, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna document myself drinking 800 cups of tea over the month of November.
This is your last tape.
As we welcome you all back to Twisted Fates, Paul may nip out during the session for a tea break. He has a quota to fill by the end of the month.
A tea break or 9.
It's on the hour, every hour, except for it's not the hour, it's every fucking minute.
God, I can do it.
Please don't. That's a lot of
fucking
tea.
Watch me.
That's a lot of tea. Please don't.
Here's the motherfucking tea.
As
I really thought Ewan was about to go off on another historical figure from that, but
as yes, we welcome you all back to Twisted Fates. As you boys are at quite an important turning point in the campaign. We are nearly at episode 40. We are pretty far through my plan in terms of like forward planning of sessions, and we're finally actually arriving in Aramba. We're finally arriving at the wall, and possibly in the next couple of weeks sending you guys over there to go and defeat Gairdra. Please don't die, Paul.
Hey.
you need to slap again on that.
Third time's the charm, where I go up against the big evil and not die.
I just thought before we get into anything scary and we're just introducing you guys to this culture in this region, that I put it out there for you not to die again, okay?
I'll try my best. Scouts on her.
Can you do it, Paul? This is your challenge.
Forget everything else, just stay alive, please. We're nearly there. Like, there's maybe 12, 13 sessions left. You can live that long.
As soon as I turn up, it's like, now, is there any bungee jumping that can be done around here?
To be fair,
make sure it's been sabotaged already.
You jest and you joke, but you will have to work out how to get down. There aren't ladders, so that's a very big possibility.
Max fall damage is 20d6.
In your dreams.
Could I take that?
I don't know. Can you take that, Paul?
We shall find out.
Are we level 12 or level 13?
Well,
12. You're not 13 yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's coming soon, guys. You heard that?
Don't get excited. I might prolong it just for that. As from what happened last week, before we actually get to you guys arriving in Aramba, getting to the town and actually getting to see it in all of its splendour, you boys spent your day in Thansari, or the rest of your day in Thansari, the rest of your morning, kind of splitting last session into two. We had the morning after where Marcusar and Eidolon went to go and see Rias to diagnose and see if they could assist with his illness. Marcusar was useless, rolling
less
nat
than useful.
We had a very similar nat 1, nat 20 moment again, which was very interesting. But they were able to at least assist to some degree, being able to identify a parasite that had been plaguing him for quite some time, just not been picked up, not really something that is cured through magical means. So Marcusar was able to compile him a possible remedy with fire salts, and Eidolon also got a package.
I did.
That seemed to be containing a live animal of some sorts, but a delivery for his father-in-law nonetheless. Where
I'm smuggling a drugs mule.
technically yes, because your father-in-law isn't allowed this type of stuff, and you're doing it against the law.
I'm a mule.
Never thought that Eidolon and Daedalus would become a drug mule. But here we are.
He's been one for a while.
This is natural progression. This is natural selection.
The final leg of their journey saw the party kind of moving through the forest, Eidolon and Wulfric having quite a deep heart-to-heart about upcoming conversations with the Bulwark and both of their opinions about the entire situation going forward, as well as, well, not Eidolon obviously telling Wulfric not to speak his mind, but just giving him or reinforcing the idea that this is the first mistake the Bulwark has made. Even though it is a pretty big one, it's still the first one she has made. Though that wasn't the only conversation to be had on the road, as Ranagash also had a conversation. very pleasant conversation. It was a great conversation.
House cat woke up.
As moving closer to the wall, obviously a big magical beacon, Samaya woke up, and Ranagash's house cat got very annoying very quickly, where he was given the ultimatum of either he goes to talk to the bulwark in the hopes of Samaya not being a book anymore, or Samaya just screams as they walk around Aramba until his sister hears him. I mean, the caveat was he wouldn't talk to you about the girl anymore, but you didn't really give him a clear enough answer, so he just asked you about the girl anyway. Which went on for a long time. Very long time, in fact, the point that Marksar ended up getting involved in the conversation, learning about the book's desires as well. So I guess we'll see if that comes to anything. But with your dealings in Tansari concluded, with the, I guess, debacle, with the watchmen that were there and Emmy from Summerhost concluded, your conversations concluded, and plot points re-emerging. It is getting into the late evening. You will have taken the day, obviously taking a rest halfway through intermittently to stop for lunch, stop for food, and just making sure you're not walking for the whole day. You get into, well, at least the clearing, not the town itself, as I imagine Eidolon, you're not going to quite readily walk into town. You know, not that confident yet.
No, I should probably have a. It's not really a family meeting. It's more just like a party meeting before walking into the town.
As you guys get to the outskirts of the new town, the small village that sits outside the wall, and you guys finally get to see the scale of this place. It almost looks like it was built by giants. These massive buildings that dwarf the citadel. The main hall itself, this almost jutting out building on the first layer of the wall that stands nearly 60 foot high, almost encompasses the entirety of the old town of the citadel. This could be a village in itself, let alone the buildings and spires and palisades attached to it. It is built into the mountainside, far higher, far taller than any tree in Maiar, and very much elvish in its decor. There is no wood, everything is built from stone. There is no hay or thatching or wooden slat roofs. It is all slate. It is all metal. And it is all marble and stone. As, well, it is quite hard to see how this place would have fallen all those years ago, as the defences almost look impenetrable. There are very few staircases built into this wall, its internal mechanisms seeming to be the only way in and out of this place, as it dwarfs the village. These tiny houses, specks, almost look like imperfections on the kind of sliding the side of the base wall. As you guys come to the road that would start winding into the town, and, well, Eidolon just stops. Not going any further.
What's going on, Eidolon?
Well, when you exactly travel a long enough distance, you kind of forget that something's inevitably going to happen. I trust no one has any problems with resting for the night.
No, none at all.
We'll need to make base camp to get up that thing.
Well, there is a village. We can just stay at one of the inns.
Yes, that's better.
There's
How tall is that?
Tall.
Very. It's very tall.
There's just the slight caveat. We're trying to sneak on there, and if anybody sees me in the village, that goes out the window pretty quickly. So I'm giving you three two options if we want to stay at a place. One, the tavern should be completely fine. It's attended by travelers, so we won't be batted an eye at. The other one is more of a pub for the watchmen than it is a tavern, but it's still got beds. But trade-off is we might be able to find one of the people I'm looking for there.
Where would you be if you were to go to the tavern or the inn? Would you be recognized, spotted, dressed as you are?
In the Traveller's Inn? Unlikely. I would just send you guys in first. In the Respite, there's a very high chance. I have to be honest, I'll be found out eventually I'm here, but I want that to happen tomorrow, less than today.
Well, you know this place better than any of us. Seems like that sounds like the best option.
I'm going to pull my scarf over my mouth and nose so that at least the majority of my face is covered.
Get a little hood.
And I can try for a shawl. But yeah, I guess I'd lead the group. It is evening, so I can. They would see as I'm heading through the leftern part of the town to Gorgon and Gorgonia, that Eidolon would occasionally just dip into an alley for just a second if there are people coming this way, and just sort of stand up against the side for a few seconds before continuing to lead.
The town does seem, I guess, for Marcusar, Wolfric, Ranayash, the town does seem awkward or strangely active for this time of night. You are used to the sun setting and things getting packed away, whereas Aramba and the people here seem to be almost more active in the evening. The streets aren't crowded, they aren't packed, the town's not that big, but it is busy. There is still hustle and bustle, there is still people moving around, doors opening and closing. The kind of essence and vibe you get from the entire town is everyone knows everyone. There are families passing between doors, there are friends meeting for dinner, there are like constant raps on doors, people shouting across the streets from other windows. There seems to be nothing in this town that is kept secret. Each of the families, each of the people, they know one another. The fact that you are travellers doesn't warrant a lot of attention, but you are definitely sticking out. You are definitely outcasts. You are not avoided, but people are very quick to give you quite a lot of space. Not in a we don't want you here kind of way, but it's that kind of you're not part of this, so keep your distance. They are very careful when they're talking around you that if it's to do with family matters, volume doesn't change, but there are some families who will lower their volume. They'll close their doors. Curtains get drawn, windows get closed. They, like Eidolon, take a step away from you. It seems that whilst this town seems to be very open, it's very private, it's very secretive, it is kept within the community, and they are very conscious that new faces are here. As you start to make your way through the town and towards a more central, I guess, plaza area, where splitting through some of the streets, through the alleyways, you can see built into the side of the wall quite a monumentous building that appears to be a mine entrance of some kind. It has that very kind of minecart aesthetic from probably the only wood that you can see in the entire village, holding up this very jagged man-made entrance into the wall and into the earth, where the buildings that are surrounding it are very dusty, very dark, not as polished or refined as the rest of the town. Quite clearly, obviously, lodgings for the miners and probably their families, where that seems to be, I guess, the only real export or business that you can see in the town. Everything else is residential. Though, when Eidolon takes you to the tavern, that itself is a bit of an oddity, as I guess it's the only place of commerce that you guys have seen coming here. I guess the small town is very much set up like a estate. Loads of residential and maybe only a few shops. The only other thing that you perhaps would have caught sight of coming in would have been a stables. But even then, it's still attached to more residential, more housing. But the Gorgon and the Gorgonia seems to be very lavish, very extravagant. This kind of building that snakes round a central fountain that, whilst probably used for drinking water, has also been carved and altered to have quite a spectacular centerpiece. What looks like a feathered serpent. A very large snake with almost prismatic stone built into its tail and built into its wings that sits coiled round this fountain with the water coming from its mouth that almost seems to glisten and sparkle. You're not too sure how, as there's not a lot of light. It's very dim light, and the lamps that are lit don't cause white light, they cause orange light, but the reflection in this water is very pure, it's very white, almost giving a mythical or celestial aura to this small plaza as you get to the entrance to the tavern, where Eidolon, you quite quickly take a step back, very much letting the rest of them take over at this point.
I mean, I would appreciate being, able to say that I do that myself, but...
Well, it's more that's me handing it over to you.
I know.
She knows your character so well that she knows what you're going to do.
I've had you boys for 39 sessions with these characters. I can do the preliminary description at this point.
I'd go on a tangent about assumptions at this point, but I feel it's overdone.
Yes. That, and you ruin my narrative moments too often, so...
Ooh.
Ooh.
Okay. Back
You
to
fixed
D&D.
it in the
guys.
cut.
Back to D&D. No domestics here.
No, D&D's the perfect time for domestics. Anyway.
That's what the D&D stands for.
Domestic.
Domestics and
Domestics and dragons. Matthew.
Is that actually a lie? I would enter the tavern first, unless anyone. No.
I mean, I'll let Marksar walk in, but I'll also say something to Wolfric and Ranagash.
Oh, we're talking out here. Oh.
goes to open door, realizes everyone else has stopped to have a conversation. Oh, I don't want to be left out of the turnover trio again. Stops opening door.
FOMO.
Listen, when you go in, you're going to be asked a lot of questions.
Any we should be worried about?
It's not that the innkeep's malicious. It's that he's just trying to work out who you are so that he can help you. That's it. Most people get lost in the Vanril and then they just show up here. So the innkeep's used to strangers asking a lot of questions, so has gotten used to asking them himself.
And what should we tell him?
That you're not here to go over the wall. Come up with a lie. Really anything. I'm looking at you, Ranakash, for that. Last time Wolfric tried to lie, we ended up almost becoming builders. And I know Wolfric suggested it a long time ago, but for me, just give a false name. Last thing we need is more attention.
Do you have a pseudonym you regularly go for?
No. I've never had to give a false name before. Surprisingly, this is the one time I've ever come home on bad terms.
Well, if you were to think of a false name right now, what would you prefer to be referred as?
I'll make it one up.
Thank you, Wolfric.
Make it super embarrassing.
Marcus, sorry, you're super embarrassing.
But if we could potentially leave the lying to you, Ranagash, I don't know if that would be possible.
I'll see what I can do.
Just make sure to answer everything, because leaving anything to assumption is dangerous. As I'd beckon for the party to go, and if Marksar's still holding the door.
Awkwardly in that middle phase. As Marksar, when you start to push, obviously to swing the door opens from the other side. As it seems two patrons are leaving. One of them seems to be carrying a basket that is filled with several bottles as well as some food items, you're not too sure what. Basket seems to be wrapped in a case. Almost like a old-fashioned cloth blanket. The figure holding seems to be quite a tall gentleman, quite broad-shouldered. Looks pretty old. Definitely probably a soldier in his earlier life. He has that physique, though dad bod has definitely come on. As once kind of very almost dark hair is now very salt and peppered. Grey has started coming into very almost straggled facial hair. Though doesn't stand, I guess, much taller than Eidolon and Wolfric, though looks slightly taller just because he has more of Wolfric's broader shoulders. As he kind of opens the door, sees you coming in. My apologies. As he kind of takes the door from you and steps to the side, where behind him, almost waving to a, barkeep, you can kind of see him behind the counter, is what looks like a much younger woman. This gentleman's probably in his maybe the late 50s, possibly even pushing early 60s. She looks like early 30s. Maybe a few wrinkles, a few laugh lines, but definitely looks a lot younger on initial appearance, where she has that more ashy blonde, softer hair, softer, rounder features. I guess for Wolfric and Ranagash, she has more of that Western appearance, so that kind of more Norse, Nordic, Scandinavian, fair skin, fair hair, little bit of a curve, little bit chunkier in terms of her body type, but still very much rosy cheeked, making it quite difficult to discern her age, as she kind of not noticing that perhaps her husband, her partner, maybe her father has moved out of the way, you're not too sure. Kind of waves her hand back, thanking the barkeep, just calling back, "Thank you, Quest. We'll see you later on, hopefully for dinner, but I'm not too sure. I have to go to the Ambergrasses later, but we'll see you then." As she kind of turns around, sees, well, Marcusar standing in the doorway, sees her husband moving out of the way, or her partner moving out of the way, her companion. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you. Kind of steps out of the way and, well, lets the three of you enter in.
Thank you.
New faces to town?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, it's always good to see new faces. We very rarely get so many of them these days. Did you get lost, or did you actually mean to come here?
We meant to come here.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. See the amount of people who get lost in these woods. It is quite ridiculous. Although, in saying that, the woods are very difficult to navigate. I mean, that's how I ended up here, but, you know, it worked out pretty well for me, so I can't really complain. Although, in saying that, I can't imagine you'd actually want to stay here. You don't look like the type.
We don't plan to stay long.
Well, if you're staying here the night, you'll be in good hands. Quest is, well, one of the best we have, at least for your kind. And she kind of very politely gets out of the way, lets the three of you pass. Her partner kind of swinging the door and taking a few steps out, not really paying much mind. He's more of the strong, silent type by the looks of things. And she kind of passes, very giddily waves at the barkeep and waves at the three of you, wishing you the best of your stay. And then turns around and looks at Eidolon. And as the three of you pass through the door, as the door is starting to swing closed, you just hear, "Aiden? What are you wearing?"
You could not have chosen any worse timing.
"What have you got on your head?"
This is a scarf.
"Well, it's not a hood. Take it down."
Or just awkwardly shuffle his feet between themselves for a few seconds.
As the three of you will be able to hear this as the door closes. Just on the other side of the door. And one, what time do you call this? And two, where the hell have you been?
Firstly, it's evening, therefore I am getting a room. And secondly, I have been many places.
Yes, none of which you should have been.
This is exactly why I didn't tell you, Mother. This is why I left that out of the chain of communication.
She kind of turns to, well, the gentleman standing next to her. "Please don't tell me you knew. Well, actually, no. Scratch that. I know you know he left. Did you know he was coming home?" As he kind of looks at you, looks you up and down. "No, darling, I did not. This is just as a surprise to me as it is to you."
Listen, Mother, Father, I have a lot on my plate right now, and I'd quite appreciate joining my companions in the tavern.
What, you're not coming home?
I'd prefer not to at current time.
Well, that is fair. We don't have enough room in the house for all of your... You have friends?
Please don't say it like that.
Wolfric has been, like, restraining a laugh. And like
From the
that,
other side of the door.
that is just an audible. That unleashes like the audible dad laugh. Just the.
As she kind of turns again to her husband. Our son met friends, not watchmen. He's met people. Actual people. Yes, darling?
Please do not frame that as something abnormal.
Well, you can stay here. Quest can give you rooms. But you're coming home.
I am not taking them.
Aiden, you are coming home for dinner and you are bringing your friends. Understood?
Yes, Mother.
Good. Ambrose, we're going back to the marketplace. We need to pick up some stuff for dinner. We need to get some extra fish, some extra meat, and we should probably stop by Primrose to get some fresh bread. Aiden, we'll see you in 2 hours. Don't be late.
Who out? It's the start of the bloody evening, Mother.
Aiden, do not be late.
Eidolon just stood there with the knowledge of, oh shit, he's gotta introduce his parents to a man who eats like a fucking horse.
Fine.
Wolfric, who has the diet of a power lifter.
You do.
You dude.
Good.
Make
Well,
sure to pick up vegetarian options.
I'll see what Ella has and I'll see what I can do.
Just please do not. This is an empty hope. Do not mention that I am here, please.
Why? Ella will want to know.
I don't want her to.
Well, I'll have to tell Primrose.
No, please don't.
But what
I've
about...
already seen
I have
Oscar.
to tell Oh, well, if you've seen Oscar, then I guess. Oh, but I have to stop in and let Vivian know.
No, definitely not that. I need to see Almaris anyway.
Well, then it doesn't matter if I tell Vivian, and if Niall's
No,
at
it
the
does
marketplace
matter. No, it
seeing
does
Ella,
matter
then I
because the
can
way
him
you'll
to.
tell her is not right.
Sit back, boys. I don't think we have to do much.
Wolfric kind of cracks the door open and leans out. You alright out here?
She kind of turns around, very big smile. You can kind of see the more she smiles, this kind of rose starts to appear in her cheeks. Yes, everything's absolutely fine. You are coming to ours for dinner this evening. I will get your name there. Do you have any preferences on meals? Aiden did say vegetarian,
Big.
but I'm assuming not you.
I lean through and be like,
It's the fucking Scooby-Doo. They're all just leaning out the door.
yeah, I lean
Wolfric
through
is
like,
physically holding Marcusar out so that he can lean.
yes, I'm a vegetarian. I hope that's not too much of an issue.
Not at all. We can get something from Ella's, and if you like big, we can see if she still has that pig. Then we have to go and see Vivian because we'll need to pick up some extra herbs.
Just, you can visit, Mom, but you just don't say anything.
Large, not a reasonable amount. It's just he kind of opens the door, kind of stands to his full height. I'm a pretty big guy.
That's okay. I've cooked for watchmen. They are small but surprisingly spacious when it comes to eating. Aiden used to eat quite a lot. Not so much now, you grew out of it, but when you were a kid, yes, you pretty much ate your fill of the marketplace. I remember that time where you pretty much cleared the old bakery before Primrose took over it.
Please.
I actually still think I have those photographs.
I would very much like to see those photographs. That sounds lovely.
Marcusar, please stop digging him a hole.
The hole was as deep as it could be the second they stepped out the door.
I was about to ask if you were doing all right down there.
It's very dark down here.
Well, I promise I won't tell Ella, but I have to tell Vivian.
If you're telling Mom, then you need to at least stay quiet, alright, Mother?
Well, I don't see what the big deal is.
The fact I didn't tell you that I was back should at least exemplify that.
I mean, you didn't tell me you were leaving, so I just found that this is part of your new personality.
Thank you for describing it that way.
But
I am going to head into the tavern, and if you see Commander Dracos, stay quiet for my own skin.
But he'll want to know how you're doing.
The man will kill me. Please don't.
You say that about everyone on the wall. They've not killed you yet, Hayden. Go and book a room. I'll see you in 2 hours. Ambrose, we have shopping to do. Is she kind of like goes and, well, tiptoes, kind of short in terms of height and for Eidolon, where she does give you a kiss on the cheek. You now have the lipstick stain on the side of your corner. As
Thanks, Mom.
your father kind of steps forward, that little bit taller than you, puts a hand on your shoulder. It is good to see you, son, but I will need to speak with you.
Eidolon would more just put his hand on his dad's hand for a second and then just bat it off and walk past him.
As your mother calls for him at the end of the street, out of this small alley, out of this small plaza. Well, leaving the four of you after quite a loud scene, as it would appear Eidolon's mother is definitely not the quietest woman in the world.
She's the town gossip.
At least when it comes to her son.
Eidolon would enter the tavern.
Have you pulled up your thing again, or...?
There's not a point in here. Not anymore.
Will I have to lie to your mother
About
why I'm here?
I don't know.
She seems a lovely one.
No, just don't. Just don't.
I feel like she could smell if I was lying to her.
Just, if she asks you a question, tell the truth. And if she asks you a question that's completely unrelated to why we're here, please, for the love of God, ride that out for as long as the dinner takes.
I can... Eidolon, you're talking to me.
And for that fact, I'm very thankful.
I have recipes I can share. Mothers love recipes.
And Marcusar, if you ask about photos, I will kill you.
Don't feel I'll have to. I think she'll be bringing them out anyway.
It's a distraction at the very least.
But a welcome one, to say the least.
Can we get our rooms, please?
Assuming you're saying that to the barkeep.
No, I'm saying that to... Can we go up to the bar and get our rooms, please?
Yes, please. Anything to separate from what just happened.
I'm now hungry.
Don't worry. She's fed about the same size as you eat. She might just not have done it for a while.
That's fine. I have storage containers in my bag.
I would say you'd get Tupperware, but I don't know when Tupperware was invented.
I mean, you have like small boxes and paper parcels, like you have the ability to preserve food for a very long time. Traditional Tupperware, I think, was a bit more like later on because you had to invent plastic. But
Tupperware was invented in 1946.
yeah, so
Anyway.
we're a few hundred years off of Tupperware, but we have capabilities of storing food. As the barkeep does have a very big grin on his face. This kind of almost quite short half-elf that is very much more human than elf, but still has those small round points on the edge of his ears and quite a pointed chin, where he has very stark, almost red hair, and strangely enough, almost like two tones of skin over his face, where one is more olive and the other is a bit more white, with the white one having almost a line of freckles under his cheek as he kind of just stares at Eidolon with a smile on his face.
I am not returning a smile, not today.
What was his name again? What did you say his name was?
Quest.
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 A tribe called Quest.
That's what I thought.
Unless he says something to me, I'm not saying anything to him.
No, he kind of, well, looking at Eidolon, but clearly addressing the four of you as you kind of come up to the bar. A room for four then, gents?
Yes.
Well, I can do you a bunkhouse room, if you prefer to be staying together, or I can do you 4 individuals. The bunkhouse would be a gold piece, the individuals would be 2 in total, or 5 silver each.
Do we want to save money? I'd quite like to save money.
The bunkhouses aren't bad.
Bunkhouse.
Well, it's been a while since you've stayed in them, Aiden. Or
You
should
know,
I...
Quest, that that's not my bloody name.
I know, but your mother was here. So...
I am also fully aware that my mother was here, Quest.
Hence, I was going to ask, are you Eidolon or Aiden tonight?
I have never been Aiden.
You should really bring that up with your mother again, then. Eidolon it is. And the rest of you?
Wolfric.
Father Marcus R. Wild.
Ranagash.
Paul felt like flexing.
I've always introduced myself this way.
Yeah, he's never not introduced himself as Father Marcus R.
Storsvater Koter, perhaps you've heard of me.
No one ever had until it was too late.
As he kind of jots your names down in a ledger, kind of scores over the four of them, makes a sort of handwritten note, goes to a small chest, and you can kind of see him fiddle through several keys before he brings one out, slides it across the table. Well, this will be you for the night. Is
Right.
there anything else I can help you with before you're preoccupied for the rest of the evening?
No. That'll be good, thank you.
Well, if you need anything, don't hesitate. At least Eidolon knows his way around, but for the three of you, there's not much I don't know about this town.
Thank you.
I hate that title, Paul. I hate it. I hate it because it works.
It's good though, isn't it?
Meet the parents.
Meet the parents.
Right. Go put our stuff in our room.
It is a pretty nice room when you actually get around to it. You're a wee bit down the hall. Pushed
I call
out
top
way.
bunk.
I mean, there isn't bunk, like, it's a bunk house, but there's not top bunks. It's like 4 single beds.
Ugh.
Well, there's
You
actually
want there to be
probably-
bunk beds, Paul.
There's actually
I want
probably
there to be
5
bunk
or
beds.
6, but yes.
Give him a bunk bed just so he can have the top bunk, Em.
Do you want the top bunk, Paul?
No, it's not. It's not fun if I have to ask for it.
Paul and Guy.
It's not the same.
As it is quite a modest room. That is very much suited more to travellers, 1 night stays, maybe 2 night stays at the max, rather than having longer stays in town. As the 4 of you have a little bit of time to kill, at least before Eidolon's mother has requested the 4 of you for dinner.
Alright, so we're going over tomorrow. I hope that sounds alright.
Yes.
Yeah.
Over the top.
That's if we're lucky.
So, after we find Eleanor and Iris, how are they actually going to help us?
It's it's what I said on the road, they're not going to help us. I just need to know the truth of what their situation with Gairdra is, so that when we are inevitably put under a zone of truth, I don't have them sentenced to death.
Okay. So, how is our means of getting over? Is there a tunnel? Or literally going over?
Literally going over. There's no way through, there's no way around. It's why, in the best case scenario, after we find Eleanor and Iris, we are caught by the soldiers on the wall. We go through trial, we manage to get ourselves on a positive side, and then we're given the means to go over the wall.
And what are the odds of that working?
Higher than you'd expect, lower than you'd hope.
Slim chance of success. Certainty of death. What are we waiting for?
Which just means that whatever the trial is goes well or not, we're not going to be given a chance to restock, which means tomorrow mornings might be our last chance ever to supply ourselves.
Perhaps your mum will pack leftovers.
Food doesn't really work in a place where everything erodes to the air.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I hope you guys are used to jerky.
There might be a bit of a little bit of an issue there.
Can I bring some root vegetables? Would they work?
You're going to have to beg Savelis very, very hard for anything that's not jerky.
How long will we be over the wall for?
To get to get through Ilvania and back to where it's very likely Gairdra is. Maybe 4 days there, 4 days back.
Jesus.
It's the city, it's a city the size of a country. There's no easy way to get through.
Gertrude is getting fucking murdered. There's no way, even if we were there to reason with him, spending 4 days without a decent fucking meal, I'm going to murder him.
It's why, as much as I hate it, I'm not turning down the offer from my mother tonight. The last chance. But tomorrow morning, I'd recommend we head to the marketplace. It's a chance to... Well, maybe for you, Wolfric, I know the smith. I grew up with him. Could maybe get your armor work done one last time.
Yes.
Marcusar,
Looking here.
Ranagash.
Looking here.
There's a few trinket shops. Pick up anything small, but I know some are enchanted. And for you, Marcusar, specifically, as much as you can deal in money, well, watchmen don't get paid, so the marketplace are used to being dealt in favors or helping hands.
I don't carry money anyway, so
Hence, if they have a job, you could do it for a trinket or two.
I suppose sounds good.
Something that could help you get hit less might be good.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Marcusar get AC.
Marcus just comes back with a heavy
twice.
plate. I just come
Yeah.
back with the heaviest of plate.
You're a druid. If anyone's injured, you could potentially offer a hand healing.
Sounds good. I mean, I wasn't so good in Sansari, but I'll
This is
hopefully
the-
have better luck here.
It's just a last chance is all.
Understandable.
So, make sure that by the time we set to sneaking on the wall tomorrow morning, we're set. I at least have an idea of how to get us up.
And is it just would we have seen like the big like steps that are like going to the different levels?
Yeah, well,
So-
it would appear there, or at least from your perspective, you can only see the base set of stairs that go on to kind of this first level, this kind of 60-70 foot high level. It doesn't appear from obvious inspection, though several of the buildings are built over several tiers, there's no like direct staircase up to higher levels. It's almost like this bit is blocked off, at least from first viewing. You can get onto the first balcony, but you're
Okay, so
going to have to navigate elsewhere.
Yeah. Okay.
If you
I had
want
a
to know
little-
how we're going to do it,
Just up, onward and upward.
I wouldn't recommend it. If we head to the right balcony, which would take us over the wall, that's... Well, civilians can't go up that way. The presence of the watchman would be extreme. There is 2 options, though, at least that I can think of. One,
Indeed.
I know the smith. I've known him since I was a kid, and he gets special access to deliver weapons up to the barracks. We could get smuggled up. Second, a long time ago now, I received a disciplinary hearing, and following that, I had to spend a lot of time studying. To that end, I was shown a way directly from the barracks on the wall to the library. The only the librarian who works there knows of.
Which one seems safer for all of us?
Most likely the library, though it means we won't have cover when we actually get there. We'll just be coming straight up into the barracks.
Hmm.
With the smith, we at least have cover for all the journey up, but we could get checked at any time.
How scrupulous are their checks?
Exceedingly. We'd have to rely on a lazy day.
And what if we were to be found in either situation? Which way is the worst way to be found? Getting smuggled, or just we're cutting about?
Getting smuggled, because it wouldn't just get us an issue, it would get the smith an issue. And as much as he owes me, I don't want to put him through too much trouble.
Flip a coin?
Either way, if we're caught, we're getting sentenced immediately.
Let's split the party. 2 go to the library, 2 get smuggled.
That can only go horribly.
Mhm. Let's not do that.
2 people arrive at the top of the wall and it's like, are the other guys coming? Doesn't look like it. Damn.
If I had to make a recommendation, the library would probably be safest. It just means that when we're up there, we need to hope that everything falls into place.
Let's go for the library.
Ranagash, Wolverick.
Yes.
Let's not involve other people in our misdoings.
Then the plan tomorrow will be stock up in the marketplace, and then we'll meet up in front of the library. Civilians are allowed up on that balcony. That's all I really wanted to clarify. Wolfric, now that we've been seen, if you ever want, there's plenty of, training facilities in the Respite, the other tavern.
Excellent.
I can show you over if you like.
That would be appreciated.
As we'll probably do that after the dinner.
Is you boys kill time plotting and planning for the 2 hours before getting ready to head over to Eidolon's house for dinner.
Coincidentally, it is literally across the road.
Yeah, you're not too far. Literally, Eidolon lives round the corner.
Well, my parents live around the corner. My house is very far away from here.
Yeah, your house is on the 3rd or 4th balcony on the wall, so nearly 300 foot above the ground.
Jesus.
He takes the 4 of you back out into the streets where it has gotten a bit darker. The winter months have settled in and the nights are definitely closing in, as you don't walk very far at all. Maybe 5-10 minutes, if that, as you come around the corner to a row of almost 2-story houses. Very old-fashioned, kind of Glasgow, Edinburgh street style. Long tenement building, very narrow buildings, where Eidolon, for the first time in, well, nearly half a year, you go home, heading through the front door.
I mean,
We're bringing our boy home.
It's a proper year and a half if you count in the dead year.
Yeah, that's also true. You didn't really spend much time before, you came back to life and boosted.
I wouldn't knock. I'd just walk through the door.
As you come into quite a modest living room, you can kind of see a set of stairs built into the side where a couch has been set up, fireplace center of the room.
I need to call back when I walk in to the 3 of them, just shoes off.
Oh, Eidolon has to deal with laces.
I know.
I very quickly and easily slip off my sandals.
This is a cultured household.
As the kind of dining area has quite quickly been set up, you can see Eidolon's father fiddling with the last few bits of cutlery and crockery, setting it upon a table, setting it for 6. As you can see through the archway, the steam kind of sticking to the ceiling as Eidolon's mother is cooking, where the smells are very decadent, where you can smell roast pork, you can smell leftover roast beef, you can smell roast veg, you can smell the simmering of possibly a vegetable or lentil soup, you're not too sure, as well as what smells like something sweet. Not quite bread, though crusty bread is on the air. More like sponge, as it would seem that your mum has probably picked up more than her fill from the bakery as well. As hearing the door go and hearing most likely the 4 of you enter, your dad kind of gives you a nod and gives a nod to the rest of the group as well, though your mum sticks her head from the side of the archway, currently carrying a bowl and stirring something. You're not too sure what. You 4 can make yourselves at home. You're welcome to anything and anywhere. We don't have many secrets in this house, not like I'm allowed to have any living here, but you're welcome to explore. Dinner will probably be another 5 minutes, at least for the soup, and then hopefully the roast will be done afterwards. I did get the few extra things, so I hope the 4 of you are hungry.
Starving.
Perfect.
It's been a long journey.
Well, you can tell me all about it.
I'd just guide them into the living room. If the couch is still there.
The couch is still there.
There we go. That's a place to sit.
Kind of parking yourselves on the couches, heading through. This is very much a traditional home, a bit more modern than probably what you'd expect, at least from the Citadel or Summerhost or even like Kinrain and Hutzal. This is a bit more modern in its style, though the one thing that is very evident is how much Eidolon's mother kind of obsesses over him.
Is there a lot of photos of him on the wall?
There is a lot of photos. There is paintings, there's photographs, there is charcoal drawings, there is what looks like awards.
I want to scan the photos and paintings and find the youngest looking Eidolon.
So as you're kind of scanning, going through them all, one thing that does strike you as a bit strange, Marcusar, is everyone else is kind of settling themselves and you're perusing. There are quite a few photos of Eidolon, probably maybe when he's like 9, 10, kind of getting into his earlier teen years. You're obviously looking for something a bit earlier than that, but this is what catches your eye, is in those photographs, they almost look like they've been taken out of their frames. Parts of them have been meticulously cut out, and canvas has been put back, and then the scenery has been like painted back on. Where Eidolon's body placements have been moved, ligaments have been painted back on, shadows have been changed, things have been rearranged, the scenery doesn't look quite right, but that's in quite a lot of the photos. Even ones where you can see Eidolon and Faerith, like young kids, as well as Eidolon and some of the other watchmen, you presume, when they were quite young, possibly training. There's just parts of the photos that are missing, as literally bits of them have been cut out.
Could I infer that these photos perhaps contained another person that has been since removed?
At one point, it's probably likely that they had another person in them, and most likely Eidolon's
like a
mother.
name, maybe like Deirdre or something.
And perhaps Eidolon's mother has since removed said person from the pictures, but obviously we don't have editing software back then, so she had to do it all by hand. Very stubborn and effort-driven woman by the looks of things for the amount of photographs she's done this for. However, you do find perhaps one photo that maybe is the earliest one, at least in this room, where he is about 4 or 5. And, well, it kind of strikes you as a little bit funny, as it looks like kind of going into his early years, perhaps before any form of training or regime came in. Eidolon was a little bit more of a chubby child.
I fucking knew it.
Well, his mum did say he quite liked food, so, you know, there's definitely remnants of that. As it looks like the painting is of him with what looks like several dogs. You're not too sure if they're his or not, but they definitely look very cute.
Of course.
As he's kind of holding one up in the painting very longingly.
Eidolon, who are all these good boys I can see here?
You have to fully understand how old I am in that photo, Marcusar.
Well, you look no older than, I don't know, 4 or 5?
And you think I remember when I was 4 or 5?
Yeah, but perhaps your mum's told you, like, were these your family's dogs, or?
We have never had dogs.
So who'd they belong to? Were they
I have
the watch?
Scarce idea.
I'll be
If
sure
you need
to ask.
to know. Yes, there we go.
I'll ask your mother.
That sounds about right.
Does this picture of Eidolon look that if I pinched his cheek, he would look like a sweet little woo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is no,
Loser.
like, Eidolon is quite, chiseled, he's quite muscular, he's quite narrow, all his features are quite defined. In this particular photograph, he's very round, he's very rosy-cheeked, he almost looks a little tan rather than being quite pale. You can see that his hair now is very almost dark brown, getting towards a jet black. Here it's almost like a soft ashy brown, it's not quite darkened yet. He's still very full of life.
Oh, way to flex on me. With myself.
I'll show it to everyone else. Everyone, look at little Aiden. I'll pass it to Ranagash and to Wolfric.
Excuse me, Marcusar, what did you just call me?
I called you Aiden. That's what your mother referred to you as.
And that is not my name. Do not call me that.
Come now, Aiden.
Oh,
We're all friends.
oh my fucking god.
Does anyone have any grievances if Marcusar loses the ability to speak?
Nope. Go ahead.
Ranagash?
Please don't put him in the ground for a 3rd time.
You know I'll just come back.
That's the problem. You haven't stopped doing it.
Why won't you die?
I could destroy galaxies with a thought. Why won't you die?
Actually, when Marcusar was skimming through the photos, will he have seen the same photo that he found in Gairdre's house, just the version without Gairdra?
Technically, yeah, he would have.
Oh.
the kind of almost graduation photo with him, Ferrith, and Gairdra, where Gairdra has been removed.
You found a version before where I had been removed.
Or is it the same photo torn in half?
No, this isn't torn in half. This is literally Gairdra has been removed from that photo, where rather than it, for you, it will have just been, or the original you'll have seen will have been Ferrith and Gairdra, and Eidolon will have been removed. Whereas in this one, it is the three of them, but she's meticulously removed Gairdra and repainted the scenery on.
Yeah.
It was a mistake giving myself parents.
You should have killed them.
Should have killed them when I had the chance.
Well, holding up the photo one last time before putting it down, it's like, yeah, you haven't changed a bit. Put it down.
There is a very long, condensed sigh from the side of the room Eidolon's on. As he more keeps his head down, trying not to look at any of the photos.
As the table is set, and your mother calls you for dinner, calling the four of you up to the table, giving you your places, making sure you're all sat together. She kind of sits down, well, is the last to sit down, having served her husband and then serving the four of you and sitting down to eat her soup, the starter, where you can still smell probably your main course roasting in the background. As she kind of turns to, well, three of you, she knows the name of her son, and she kind of smiles, big grin on her face. So, what are your names? Where are you from? How did you meet my son?
Ulfric. I'm from Holzal in the Gildenfeld Valley.
I've not been there in, years, decades now, actually.
Valley or Holzal specifically?
Holzal specifically. I'm not from here. I am originally from Drakenel. I used to make the commute up every winter. The ice fishing was something to behold, and the summers were even better when the snows finally melted. It was a trip I would like to make again, but commitments sadly prevent it.
Do you know Edda?
The name isn't entirely familiar to me.
Fiery red hair, green eyes, the scar on her arm she doesn't talk about.
A relation of yours?
It's my mother.
Huh.
Rolls.
Quite short, a little bit broad.
Yeah, that fits the description of my mother.
Yes, she got trapped under the ice one year when I went up to visit my parents. How is she? She wasn't more of a personal friend. I only spent a little bit of time with her, but she doing well?
I mean, she's doing as good as she can for a woman with 7 kids.
Oh.
Holy shit.
I am her eldest.
You don't look much older than Aiden.
How old is Eidolon?
You are what, 29 now? Nearly 30, actually.
Oh, I'm 32.
Yeah, so you're not much older than him at all. No, God, it will have been nearly 2 decades, if not 3, the last time I saw her.
Yeah,
Because when was it we weren't allowed to travel anymore? Probably when you were 3, maybe 4.
Oh, she'll have just had my sister then.
It was so difficult getting used to all of these traditions, and, well, not being born here, I was still allowed to travel for quite some time, and then I fell pregnant with Aiden, and, well, then travelling became a bit of an issue. I was still able to travel occasionally until he was maybe 4 or 5, but the furthest we could ever go was Thansari. We weren't allowed any further. I miss the mountains, though. I miss the mountains, I miss the trees, I miss the smell.
And find an excuse to go back, Mother.
Well, you know I can't.
Well, you should.
Would being invited to an event allow you to leave this area?
I mean, it depends on what it is. Occasionally, special permissions can be granted, but it would depend on circumstance.
If I could somehow, you could probably see the Gildenfeld if I could somehow get you invited to my brother's wedding.
Well, it would definitely be a sight rather than seeing Aramba again for another year, and, well, even then I've not travelled to Thansari in, nearly a decade, and Ambrose has never left the wall, so it would be nice for my husband to actually see where I'm from.
I know, if anything, family traditions to go off of, my mother's side of the family likes to invite anyone they can to their children's wedding.
Then I would gladly partake. You see, the lot of the town gets boring, a lot of the people get familiar, and not a lot of interesting things happen. Well, occasionally interesting things happen, but nothing I can get involved in.
Understandable.
Oh, but that's exciting. So how did you meet Aiden then?
We were in a town. A girl that could see the future was being used by the mayor.
You know, if you had come to me with that story nearly 40 years ago, I would have called you a liar, a flight of fancy, but being here, seeing what I've seen, hearing what I've heard, I could well enough believe it. And Aiden does have a penchant for running into trouble and women. So...
That is incredibly accusatory, Mother.
I have not forgotten, and I will not let you forget either. Apologies.
This is lovely soup.
Thank you. It's actually my mother's recipe. She used to make it all the time in the winter. Drakenel, it was difficult to get a lot of fresh greens then, so root vegetables were usually our go-to. This was hers. She used to make it often.
It's excellent. Eidolon can tell you I have a penchant for cooking.
Well, at least I know he'll be well fed then. None of that jerky or rations that they feed him on the wall.
Yeah, I make stew. I make spaghetti. I make chili.
Grilled cheese.
Grilled cheese. I invented that.
He's our roadside chef, and he knows what he's doing.
Then, as I said, at least I know you're getting fed, considering you didn't take anything away with you.
I can rely on the third best chef I've ever known.
I'll take that.
So there's one. We have Wolfric, and it's nice to meet someone from my own home. Not a lot of familiar faces come by these places. But what about the rest of you? I definitely don't recognize you. She kind of gestures at Markstar. And we don't have a lot of half-orcs here. Well, that's a lie, we do. But I'm assuming you'll probably be a lot more pleasant than them.
I am Father Marksar Wild of the Green Hand of the Old Faith. I'm from Summerhost. Well, near Summerhost, in the Forest of Hilden.
Not a place I've ever been. The Old Faith, that doesn't have any connections to... She kind of looks at her husband. They're... What is it they're called? I can't remember. As he kind of sighs, takes a spoonful of soup. They're called the Divines, darling. Yes, those. I think they're some southern religion. I was never really religious myself back in Drakenel, and I never really got connected with any kind of faith as I travelled. But we've had a small chapel open up here. Are you related to them at all?
No, the Old Faith, we follow, our god is She, and She is the god of, all things nature, animals, the plants, sky. It's all hers.
Oh. I think the chapel has something like that as well.
Well, then I might stop by for a moment to, for a prayer.
Oh, they are lovely. Eidolon, weren't you friends with their daughter for a little while?
I'll have to join you, Marksar. I haven't seen Sierra in far too long.
Yes, I do remember the two of you being quite close, at least before you became captain.
She had her responsibilities, I had mine. I might as well swing by and say hello.
Her parents are also lovely. Zinlin worked with my husband, and Tulia is like myself. She came here. I say like myself. She came on a pilgrimage. I didn't do that. I was just traveling. But she came on a pilgrimage. She married Zinlin, and the two of them have stayed and had Sierra. I think... Isn't Sierra only a few years older than you? She wasn't in your class, though, was she?
No, she was. Sierra's the same age as me.
Your classes... I could never remember who you brought home.
I didn't bring many people home, Mother. I lived on the barracks.
Yes, but you came home every other weekend, and occasionally you were allowed to bring friends home.
Only because you wouldn't stop insisting for it.
Yes, and Azariah permitted it.
Eidolon returns to his soup.
So, what about yourself? Were you in this town with this strange girl and the mayor and...
Yes, I was. I was the... Could say I kind of set the whole thing in motion. She came to me first, and I guess these guys were all present and wanted to help out. And, yeah.
Well, that does sound like Aiden. He has a penchant for helping, even when he shouldn't sometimes.
He's a very helpful individual.
He is. I raised him to be no different, so technically I'd probably blame myself for that, but at the same time, I couldn't have asked for a better son. Well, actually, you could have told me where you were going, and then I could have had a better son. But
If it's any consolation, what Eidolon has learned on the wall allowed him to save the life of my future wife.
well, that is certainly something, and my condolences to your fiancée. I'm glad she's
dealing with it the best she's dealing with it the best she can. She's a strong woman.
Well, marrying someone from Holtzol, I would assume so. Women on the western side can certainly be stubborn, as my husband likes to remind me.
Oh, she's from Thornsgard. She's not from Holtzol.
Oh, you know, it's been years since I've been there as well. Memories. Places I would have liked to take you, Aiden, but, you know, the laws forbid it.
I've been to each and every one of them now.
And yet you're back here. I'm not going to ask why.
Good, because I wouldn't answer.
Yes,
He
your
even got
father
to-
will likely ask.
He even got to see Thornsgard's famous flower shop.
And I, in fact, made a purchase, which she seemed happy about.
A purchase for flowers?
Yes.
I'm turning back to soup. I have nothing more to say. Soup is my coping mechanism.
Mood.
I don't even like soup IRL.
No, you don't.
I love soup.
Fucking hate soup.
You hate soup.
I know.
No. Stop the D&D. How do you not like soup?
Soup is just fucking boring.
What? I don't know what soup you've been eating, but my mum makes a banging vegetable soup.
Well, good for your mum.
Her potato and leek unmatched.
Ugh.
Crazy
My dad
soup.
makes a mean tomato soup.
My dad does really
I
good
love
carrot
soup.
coriander soup.
Where's
I love
where's
soup.
where's the fuck soup meme?
Don't fuck soup.
Soup's hot. Don't do
What?
that.
Oh
Rick.
god! What? Oh my god! What's he doing with the soup? Stop! Somebody stop him!
Okay, you can get back to D&D now.
Yes. As she kind of almost awkwardly stares at Eidolon, looks at the three of you. Well, I know he's not going to answer me, so why was he buying flowers?
You know, Mother, you can simply move on from a conversation topic.
I would love to, but the last time you brought flowers was for Faerith, and you nearly killed them.
I don't actually know why he bought those flowers. Anyway, I can summon a magic donkey. Would you like to meet him?
Just right in there, huh? Just no hesitation.
We haven't seen Snapdragon for a while. This is nice.
I'd probably advise against it. Magic is at least limited in the village and very much forbidden on the wall. And, Well, I'm not stupid. I'd rather not have my son be a giant glowing beacon at the moment, considering my husband's opinions right now.
It's a shame. Snapdragon's really cool.
I imagine
The shame's pretty lit.
magic is quite wonderful and has a lot of application and uses outside of just being the spectacle, but the laws are the law.
Should put turmeric in this soup.
A little bit, alongside ginger. It gives it a little bit of heat.
I could tell. I've got a keen sense for this sort of stuff. It's what I want to do. I want to cook once this is all over.
And she finally eventually turns round, kind of looks at Ranagash. I am very sorry. When I have a one-tracked mind, I tend to wander. I have Marcusar, I have Wolfric, and you are?
Ranagash from the forests of Maya.
It's been quite the while since I've seen those treetops. I didn't know the encampment had half-orcs.
A few, yes. Some of them stay in town rather than in the forest, but there are some.
I know the half-orcs that we have on the wall. They go back quite a few generations now, but they've pretty much all abandoned orcish traditions, which is a shame.
Mm-hmm.
The culture is, well, from whenever I experienced it, was always fascinating. But it's definitely a strange place, seeing another half-orc in town. You might get a few strange looks.
I'm used to it by now, it's fine.
Actually, what am I saying? You probably will all get a few strange looks. The town doesn't really get a lot of travellers or visitors.
People avoided us.
Yes, they're not... It's not that people won't be welcoming towards you. You will likely find that everyone is happy to speak to you and you'll likely fit in fine once they get to know you, but this town doesn't like talking about things and it doesn't like people overhearing things, so everything is just, let's talk in that alleyway, let's talk in that other room. Aiden, I know your father wants to speak to you this evening, so he'll probably take you upstairs. So, it's something you kind of get used to.
We don't plan on sticking around long enough for people to get to know us.
Her face kind of drops. So I assume you're leaving tonight then? Yes?
No. Just the amount of time won't really facilitate people getting to know us.
It's more... Well, I wasn't expecting you to come home so soon, Aiden, and... Well, I was hoping the stay would be short. You know, a quick one-stop to turn round and go somewhere else.
It's something like that.
I wasn't meaning something like that. I was hoping that would be the case. You were coming in here, stopping off, and going back south.
Something like that.
Aiden, you have friends. You've clearly travelled the world. You have seen other things. Please tell me you are not going back up there.
Not for an extended period of time now.
She kind of stops. You kind of see her look down at the soup bowl. She still has quite a bit left. She kind of gets up, still looking down. If you will all excuse me, I need to check on dinner. As, I guess after that notation, she kind of disappears for quite a little bit of time. She disappears for quite a while as... I guess unless the four of you, or the three of you, Eidolon knowing his father probably wouldn't, but unless the three of you engage him in conversation, you're kind of sat in silence for a good while. As Eidolon's father just kind of almost gives his attention to his dinner and doesn't really engage or even look at the three of you much at all.
Mr. Daedalus, I noticed the photos in your living room, and I saw one of young Eidolon with lots of dogs. Did you have lots of dogs?
You may call me Ambrose.
Thank you. Ambrose.
No, we did not. The dogs are that of the gravel forge. They are the local smiths, the dwarfs. I was quite close with their father, and they used to breed hounds. Eidolon was quite close with their children and spent his time sometimes at the forge and therefore with their dogs. The art was commissioned by his mother, as was many of the photographs.
Interesting. Damn.
Yeah.
Way to kill the convo and just like, it was commissioned by his mother.
Definitely a duality in personality between Eidolon's mother and Eidolon's father. His father seems to be very cut and dry. This is the answer, this is what happened. His mother seems to be very much
We
more...
see where Eidolon gets it from, am I right, fellas? The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. The water doesn't fall too far from the wall. If you
Stop it, just stop it. This hurts. Emotionally.
I think it was meant to.
Damn it, I got played like a fiddle.
As kind of Eidolon's mother comes back, delivering your main course, a platter of beef, pork, cut, sliced, with a collection of vegetables, and for Marcusar, what almost looks like a risotto of some kind. Kind of that wet wild rice using the roasted herbs, and almost kind of smells like smoked mushrooms. You're not too sure. As she is
there any kind of like animal produce in here?
You said vegetarian, so it tastes creamy. Perhaps milk or cream has been added to it.
Still a bit, this is only the third time I've had dairy.
But she is very careful with it. Like, she sets everything else out, she brings yours out completely separate, and then sits down at the table before eating her own.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Daedalus.
Lissa.
Alice.
We don't do a lot of formalities in this house, unless we have to. But even then, I try not to. They're not very formal here, and they're not very formal on the wall, so it's something you get used to. There's no Mr. and Mrs. or Sirs or Madams. Then there's only a handful of people, I think, that you actually give titles to, Aiden, at least from what I remember. Niall is one of them. And occasionally you still call Azariah Bulwark.
I still have far too much respect for Commander Dracos. And secondly, when people don't know who she is, it would feel wrong to address her by a first name.
Well, that's why you introduce them.
Shockingly, with the circumstances, it's not been that easy.
I don't want to know. If it were up to me, you'd be out, packed up, and leaving. But it's not, so I don't want to know.
Once I'm done here, Mother, I'm not coming back.
That's if they let you leave.
I don't have a choice. I have too much to do in an arrangement I can't miss.
Well, I really hope that's enough.
You don't need to hope, because it has to be.
Yes, but I've been here long enough where I have seen men and women killed for less.
I've been out there long enough to know what I have to do.
You know, you don't have to do everything, Aiden.
No, but there's some people that might not need it, but I want to help. I'm not turning my back on them.
Sometimes I wish you would.
Is this meat smoked? It's delicious.
She kind of shakes her head.
What?
I'm sorry. It will have been. Ella, who runs the general store in the marketplace, she is quite proficient in the wares she sells, and most of the meats we get here are smoked. I do apologise for less pleasant topics of conversation. I am thrilled to have met you all. I just perhaps would have liked to meet you all in letter form rather than in person.
It's understandable. This is a very difficult time.
I can make my assumptions, and I hope you know that I think you're all very foolish. I think you're all risking a lot, perhaps too much. But if you're friends with Aiden, then I understand why you're doing it.
If it's any casual description, the only other person who's from the wall who has met me refers to me as the Oath. So...
Well, there's
I have...
other one person on the wall currently out in the rest of the world right now.
I can confirm that I have absolute faith in your son, and also I did not get to my rank without being somewhat competent on the battlefield.
I have no doubt of that. I have no doubt of your skill. I just know what this place is like, and I know what the people are like, and I know how Azariah can be on occasion, and
I have been forewarned.
I would just prefer it that with my son having the opportunity to, yes, I would have liked him to tell me where he was going, but I would have preferred that he not return. I would have preferred that he went away and lived his life far from here, where they can't get him anymore, and where he can't bring more people into this anymore.
I wanted to come here. I was brought into this not by him. I was brought into this when the negligence of the leader on the wall crippled my fiancé and killed a man I considered to be a father.
Then I still stand. It is still...
Mother, stop. They've made their choices.
No one will die on my watch. No one in this group will die on my watch.
I can promise you, when I'm done here, I am leaving, and all you will hear from me is a letter as to where I live then. This is my last time here, and I'm not dying here.
I should probably check on Pudding. I will probably give you some to take back to the inn with you. I apologize. I suddenly am not feeling too well. And she kind of gets up, having not really touched any food, and heads back into the kitchen, where first time her husband gets up and follows her, leaving the four of you alone at the table.
This is the entirety of the reason I did not want to be found out being here.
I can understand why. It's only natural for parents to worry.
I know that, I wish I could have finished everything over there and simply come back here on my way out. I'm sorry you folk had to see that, or be involved at all.
It's okay.
I'm kind of curious about dessert.
Eidolon more just sighs and goes back to the small amount of soup he has left.
Not even touching Maine.
Wolfrick's finished. He's like,
Hoover.
really hungry.
It's more just the awkward with Fork just poking at it, just unhappy.
You need to eat a lot if you're built like Wolfrick.
Well, obviously.
Built different.
Built different.
I mean, he is. He just is.
Built like a fucking ox.
As at least for the rest of the evening, Eidolon's mother does not re-emerge. Lissa does not come back out of the kitchen. Perhaps there is another way that she goes upstairs, perhaps even goes out. There is a backyard to the house. Perhaps she is entered or exited out there. As you kind of finish your food, and Eidolon's father returns with, I guess it's quite a hefty, almost wooden box that seems to have compartments in it and wrapped with cloth, where he kind of sits it on the table, I guess closer to Wolfric. Dessert from my wife. She does apologise for not being able to give it to you herself. She hopes you enjoy.
We will.
Son, I do wish to speak with you before you leave.
Fine.
If the three of you would be so kind.
Okay.
Of course.
It was a pleasure to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you too, sir. Is there a basket of bread on the table?
Yes.
Wolfert will take a single roll.
He takes the dessert,
his road
puts the roll
snack.
in the mouth.
Are you really gonna start shoving breadsticks into your purse?
I'm so sorry, I need to go.
You have to understand, fucking complimentary bread is some of the best shit you will ever eat.
It is though. It just
It
is though.
is. It's just it's made different.
It just hits different.
It's built different. Like,
Different bread.
As the three of you are giving your leave, and Eidolon, your father, sits back down at the table. I will say this plainly. You understand I must send correspondence to the wall.
Obviously.
You also understand that whilst not as emotional as your mother, I too would prefer you not to be here.
I know that.
So I will ask, why are you here?
Because Gairdr's on the other side of the wall and I'm going to go kill him.
You understand how difficult that will be.
Obviously.
You understand what could happen if you return.
Obviously.
And you understand what will happen to the three of them.
They're aware. I've not made their choices for them. Unlike one person in this room.
Eidolon, you were born on the wall.
And I've seen what this culture has done.
That is not our place to decide whilst we are here. Not everyone
Then
is as
whose
fortunate
will it ever
as you.
be?
Not everyone is as fortunate as you.
Then that's a problem. Everyone should have the chance to be. And no one's ever given it.
We have our duty here. It has not failed us once.
It's not failed us once. Of course it hasn't failed us once. It's failed all of them!
Eidolon, you are getting emotional.
Of course. I'm my mother's son.
I understand that your duty is no longer to the wall, but you still uphold our laws and you still uphold our beliefs.
When laws and beliefs are wrong, are they just there not to be challenged?
That is not your place.
Then I'm here to make it my place. For the people who you've said have committed a crime that they never knew that they could commit. I'm done letting the people here decide whether innocent people get to live or die. The only reason I'm back is because if I had my way, I would already be dead. I've realized that what I've been taught isn't enough. And it's why I've saddled up with 3 other people who give a damn.
What about those you have fought alongside? Those who have died alongside you?
You think I'm forgetting them? I'm doing this for them. To make sure that no one else dies like them.
Then make sure, whatever it is you do not get emotional.
And I can't promise you that because I already am far too emotional.
Yes, and when
And
you
it's the
are,
only thing that's kept me alive.
but here, Eidolon, when you are, you must remember you are compromised.
You're really accusing me of forgetting that I'm carrying the risk of 3 other people's lives. Who do you think I am?
Eidolon, I know the risks that you are taking, and I am under no doubt that those 3 men have been made aware of the risks of coming here, of doing what you are suggesting you are going to do, and of what you are intending with the bulwark. But I do not want to see my son killed.
And until you understand where I'm coming from, I'm not your son. Because you've degraded me to the point where all you see me as is another name on a checklist. Until the risk of death comes.
Eidolon is crying at this point. It's just his voice would never indicate that.
Is that how you think I see you?
If you saw me any other way, you would have ever listened to Mother.
Eidolon, if I had saw you as nothing more than a name on a checklist as another watchman on the wall, do you think I would have let you leave in the first place? Do you think I would have kept my mouth shut under a zone of truth when they investigated your whereabouts, asking everyone in town where you had gone? Do you think I would have lied for you, under the bulwark, to the Dragon Guard, to your mother?
Only because I could have died. Don't pretend to me.
I had hoped you wouldn't come back.
I didn't want to. But it's not for me. One day, and I really hope this is the case, that you'll actually see finally where Mother is coming from. One day I hope that you understand that not just going beyond to lying, but that what we are doing here is wrong. I hope you can understand that. But right now you don't. And the fact you've gone off on that tirade shows that you don't understand. It has never been about that.
Then, I guess if that is how things stand at the moment, your mother may keep her son, but I will not.
I already made my stance perfectly clear.
And thus
As I'll
I
leave
have
with that.
concluded mine. As he stays seated, letting you leave, with Eidolon rejoining the rest of the group outside of his house. Breaking down.
I mean, yeah. You can't just wipe that away that quickly.
No, doesn't really matter how cold and heartless you are. That's not really something you can bounce back from, at least that quickly.
Your family seem lovely.
Let's go.
Oh. Want to talk about anything, Eidolon?
No.
Very well. Back to the inn.
Yes.
Awkward night.
I'm gonna get my coat. It's.
As well, relaxation for the rest of the evening in relative silence, unless Eidolon perks up, which I don't think he will.
What's the dessert?
The dessert, when you kind of open it up, it is being compartmentalized into two. There is a collection of fresh fruit in one, and the other has what looks like almost a jam pound cake.
Oh, let's go! Let's go!
That's if
Wolfric.
Wolfric's willing to share.
Wolfric is obviously sharing, but he is also scranning his fair share.
As he should. As he should.
Cake's fucking excellent. Love cake.
Cake is great.
Okay,
I
cool,
had
okay.
cake today. Cake was good.
I'm gonna have cake after this.
You do have after the D&D cake.
I have pears.
I'm gonna have an ice cream after this. And 9 teas.
90. Well, technically, if you want, Paul, as we come into the evening and you get to scran your cake and head in for the evening, we were going to take a short break so you can have your first of 9 teas.
Oh god.
He needs to get started and quickly.
It's a Herculean task.
But you'll do it.
As yes, we're going to take a short break, and Paul will possibly be through 1 cup, maybe 2 of a tea by the time we come back.
Let's go.
Hobnob is the best biscuit for dunking in tea because it is the most robust biscuit ever. You could just hold that shit in there and it will drink up the whole tea and it will still be, crunchy.
You heard it here first,
Matthew's
folks.
tea.
Paul's biscuit
Are we
review.
back from the break?
Yeah. I literally
Because
cut
I'm-
as Paul gave his biscuit review on Hobnobs.
But because I'm dunking it in the tea, it tastes like hot sticky toffee pudding. Like I was just like eating the pudding right now. This is actually the best biscuit. This game changer. This is my life now.
Well, can your life be D&D for at least the next kind of hour and a half?
Oh, fine.
And possibly another
You-
cup of tea, because you do still
can
have
drive
70
himself
teas
away.
for the rest of the night.
I know. It's so young. It's only 9:30.
Gotta get on that, Paul. As we come back to D&D, with juice and tea and food been eaten. As for the four of you, you guys will have had a night's rest. Perhaps a good night's rest, you're not too sure. It's varied across the board, as for Wolfric, you probably fell into a food coma.
Yes.
Lots of good home cooking and lots of good cake. Marksar, a little bit of upset, obviously even having the cake as well, containing dairy, eggs, preservatives. A little bit of an adventure into the unknown. Ranagash, you slept pretty soundly. Eidolon, your sleep, whilst perhaps being a little bit more troubled, though not unexpected, you almost started feeling heavy in your sleep, a swirling in the back of your head where a presence that has left you alone for a very long time as your abilities with the Blight has grown. Perhaps a distracted mind, you're not too sure. You were at least able to quell it last night, though it would seem the friend inside of you is starting to awaken again. Perhaps being close to Ilvania, perhaps being close to the wall, perhaps venturing on your path, knowing what's at the end of it, is starting to awaken it again.
Was he desiring a conversation, or am I safe from that?
You seem to be safe for it for now. As it's more that kind of almost misty feeling in your head where your thoughts go one way but you can feel it almost clawing and prying at the back of your head. Where he might get a little bit more talkative the closer you get.
Because the only thing I would have done during the night, especially with that, is if Wolfric was awake, but Wolfric is definitely in a food coma.
Yeah.
As in the morning, you guys have breakfast. And what are your plans for that day? Where are you going?
I was told about a training place.
Eidolon, you suggested that I should perhaps find some sort of armor.
If you folk want to head to the market first, Wolfric, I can take you there after I'm done something. I just have a delivery for my father-in-law.
Excellent.
So,
Where is
do
the
you,
market?
do you see the massive stairs?
Oh, it's on the wall.
If you take the left one, that's where civilians are allowed up. The marketplace is the first exit on your right. Can't really miss it.
And I'll find an armor there.
An armor, if that's what you're looking for, or if you head to tokens, they might have something magical that could help you.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Ranagash, you're much the same.
Alright.
If you need components or even things relying on your rune stones, it's a strange bet, but Hephaestus Flower might have something.
Alright.
And for all of you, if you want equipment, the smith, it kind of needs to be good. They supply the wall.
Okay. Ran, do you want to come with me to tokens?
Yeah, sure.
Wolfric, I'll swing by and grab you later and take you over to the respite.
Alright.
Go team!
Eidolon looks
No.
very sadly at you.
No, I,
He tries. Lord, God bless him.
She bless him.
She bless him.
Gee, bless.
She's tried.
Bless
It's
up.
not gone very well, Ranagash.
No. Really
She
can't.
looking at Mark, sir. I can change him.
I can fix him.
I can fix.
She's tried. It's not really worked.
As the three of you head to the marketplace, at least for the moment, Wolfric, the boys are heading to tokens, you splitting off and heading to the forge, seeing if you can get anything done to your armor whilst you're waiting on Eidolon. And Eidolon, Craig, can you please put down those scissors?
No, I'm fidgeting. I need an actual like
Yeah,
proper
please,
like thing to
please
fidget with.
don't
Stress
fidget
ball.
with the scissors.
I mean, I've been doing this for most.
Invest.
1 second, where is it? Yeah, I've been doing
I
this
do
for most of the
actually need
night.
to get him one of those.
You
Like, I've just
should.
been doing this because it's nice to fidget with.
As yes, Craig, the boys kind of split off, obviously heading to different parts of the marketplace, and you head off to your father-in-law's house. Not
Yep,
to
which is coincidentally also very close by.
just round the corner.
Are you doing me first, or?
I will do you first. I will then do the boys at tokens. I will then do Ewan at the forge, and then jump back to you and Ewan.
Yeah.
Going to the respite. But first, Eidolon, obviously knowing that Ilmaris probably won't be at the shop with Vivian, he will most likely be at home. You head, well, to their more bungalow-style house. They never had the biggest house in the world, but they do have technically 2 houses, though one of them is very much kept under wraps.
Yeah, I'd give a knock on the door, the main door.
As you actually hear clattering from the next door house.
Ah.
Before the clattering kind of comes to the second floor of the kind of attic space of this bungalow and comes down the stairs, where kind of open the door very wide-eyed. Oh, Eidolon, my boy.
Hi, Dad.
To be honest, I should have expected you. Vivian did say that you were home.
Can I come in?
Of course. Apologies, I was tinkering. As he kind of steps out the way, letting you in and closing the door after you.
I'm assuming they would have a couch.
Yeah.
Eidolon just collapses into it.
He kind of sighs, kind of dusts his hands off, rubs them on his trousers, leaving quite prominent white chalk marks along the side of them as he sits down on the, like, almost sofa across from you. Well, I expected your return to be difficult, but I'm assuming that is not why you're in this mood.
Fight with Father last night.
You fight with your father often, Eidolon. The two of you don't really see eye to eye.
Yeah, but this... It was just a bit more than usual, Dad.
Do you wish to speak of it?
Well, I'm not to call him Father anymore, so that's a good start.
Was that your decision or his?
It was mine.
And I'm assuming he did not refute.
No. He didn't agree with me helping the people of the world. And I know that sounds grand, but I hope you get what I mean.
Eidolon, you have not been like any other watchman I have ever met. It is likely why my daughter fell for you in the first place. You are caring, you are kind, and you leaving this place was probably the greatest regret many people on the wall have ever had. Letting you out into that world and letting you see and experience life beyond, and likely seeing what afflicts by us staying in our lives. It was not likely going to be long before you would return with wild ideas.
So I'm assuming this is why you always told me to take detours out of Thensari.
Occasionally.
Thanks.
You were born in this place, but you're not part of this place, Eidolon. You never have been.
I thought from absence maybe he'd have started seeing it that way too. I know it's stupid.
He is your father. I'm sure he still cares for you, but Ambrose is a watchman. The day he chose not to join the Dragon Guard surprised everyone. I thought that man would serve until his deathbed. It does not surprise me that he does not take too fondly to his son, opening his mind to the rest of the world.
It's just difficult to deal with these things when Faye's not here.
A lot has been difficult since Faerith left us.
Eidolon would just stand up and go over and give his dad a hug.
He kind of gets up, or attempts to halfway, and then you hug him, so he kind of takes you in for a hug. You do know she wouldn't want you to dwell on these things. She would want you to move on.
It's the only reason I'm still doing it though is because it's not for me. I learned a long time ago that I should stop, well, why I left in the first place. It's just that it's hurt other people now, and I'm kind of getting sick of repeating that.
Well, it can be for other people, but I don't mean that, Eidolon. I mean in all things. She wouldn't want you stuck with old beliefs and living in the past. She'd want you to find you a new life with new people and a new place, seeing all the things she wanted to see one day. She'd want you to live for her.
I've got something for you.
He kind of chuckles, letting you go. What could you possibly have for me?
I have visited Reyes on my way here.
And let me guess, the old fool made you an errand boy again.
I didn't mind. He's not doing too great.
Yes, I have been meaning to go and see him for some time, but since you decided to up and run off, residents aren't permitted to leave.
Yeah, I kinda guessed that. I'm just hoping that once she sees I'm back, Azariah might let people go again. But not to dwell on things like that. Not really a point anymore. As I take the package out of my bag.
Carefully.
Just so you're aware, I think it's alive.
The box?
The thing inside the box.
As he kind of takes it from you, goes over to the table, sets it down, takes the letter off, opens it up, kind of breaking the seal, leaving the box as it is whilst he scans through it, and he starts kind of chuckling to himself. Well, and now I really hope Azariah lets us leave. I need to go and tell the old fool and thank him. Although I'll need to make sure my wife doesn't find this, and I have no idea how I'm hiding this from Vivian. Hopefully it's not too big yet.
Am I allowed to ask what it is?
If I'm honest, I'd prefer you stayed around whilst I opened it. All my stuff's in the other... well, in the back, and I'm not entirely wanting to reveal any magical signatures to Savelis.
Alright, come on then.
As he kind of sets the letters to one side, folding them up ever so slightly, and starts to unravel the packaging. Doing so very, very carefully as not to even shudder the box as he does so. Removing the paper and starting to open the box, where you can see that it's not like a paper parcel underneath. It is wooden. It is a proper wooden crate underneath.
Oh.
So you could have likely bashed it around, it wouldn't have dented it at all, but it also reinforces possible live creature inside. As he kind of pries the top off of it, and the smell that immediately is emitted from the box, along with almost a thick green mist, like a very, very hot, almost poison that is evaporated, kind of spilling out over the sides, almost smells like buckwheat or nightshade, that kind of very potent plant that almost sends your head spiraling. As the first thing to emerge from the box is a tail. Very long, very thin, nearly probably 2.5 foot in length, with quite a large, almost scorpion-esque pincer at the end. This kind of bulbous point with the very thin needle that seems to almost glow green and red scale. As he kind of carefully reaches into the box, as you see this tail wrap around his arm, as he then proceeds to lift out something. Its body perhaps no larger than the palm of your hand, as it sits there. Tail wrapped around, coil it and keeping it in place. Maybe a few weeks, maybe a few months old, you're not too sure, as he seems to have a tiny dragon in his hands.
They had me transporting a pseudo-dragon.
Well, it seems calm enough.
You know, I really would have preferred he'd told me that that's what he had in a bag.
Well, you clearly did a good job, as it's not poisoning me, and it seems quite content in my hand. Though I will likely have to get it a new box, which I don't know how it will respond to then, as it will need something larger when it starts to grow.
Mom will kill you, and she will also kill Rias, if she ever finds out about this.
You know, I was about to say if anyone finds out about this, I'd likely be dead, but no, I am a lot more scared of Vivian than whatever Savelis would do if he found out I had this creature.
Rightfully so. Your wife is terrifying.
Yes, she is. No, it will stay in the back room, and if I can adapt its hoard, and he kind of runs a finger along its spine, and you can almost hear it purring as he does so, as its back starts to arch on his palm. If I can keep it happy, she should likely never find out about it. And
We'll make sure it has space to fly.
from what I've read and from what Rias tells me, it doesn't necessarily need to. It prefers to be ground dwelling. Its wings aren't that strong.
Shows how much I know about mythical creatures.
I will need to at least make sure that it has the ability to climb. I will need to see and inquire to where he got such a thing. Though it makes sense to why he would want it delivered to me and would trust no one else with the delivery. I have been looking for one of these for a long time.
As nice it is to see you, I do need to be going. I have friends waiting on me.
Yes, your mother did say you had arrived with some others.
If you see her, as I likely won't for a long time, just tell her I've missed her. I didn't have a chance to tell her last night.
I will. She knows you care, but I will pass it on, nonetheless. And whilst you're here, remember and pay her a visit.
Yeah.
I'd give Elmaris one last hug before leaving.
He kind of awkwardly holds the pseudo-dragon out to one side. Kind of keeping it far from you as it... You kind of need to test the waters with how much it likes people. As he kind of hugs you with the other arm. You know, it will be okay.
It's getting there. That's all.
Yes.
Hey, I've gone through worse. And gotten through worse that's taken me longer, so... It'll be over soon one way or another.
Well, you will either live long enough so Faye can be proud of you, or you will die quick enough that you can join her soon.
I hope to see you soon. No matter where I go after this, I'll make sure you and Vivian can visit.
And make her leave her shop? I do not think so.
Something tells me she'd make an exception. As I'd go for the door.
He kind of almost lets you leave on your own accord. No final farewell, no final goodbye. Turning his attention more to the small dragon now in the palm of his hand as you head out and start moving towards the marketplace.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Yes. Where, for my other three, the three of you head up the left-hand stairs. You can see on the right-hand staircase it is quite heavily guarded by watchmen. They are not permitting any access to there, but when you get onto the first balcony you can see the library on your left-hand side, and you can see the big wooden doors into the marketplace on your right. Where, when you head in, it is all almost built into an old entry hall, where the balcony that overlooks the kind of upper portions of the royal palace. It's all been built under. The building's constructed to accommodate the space as best they can, with the large ceilings almost having that embered smell to them, as obviously there is an active forge in here. As the three of you end up splitting off, Wulfric heading further around, obviously searching the forge and seeing the fires through an arch, but for Ranagash and Markasar, the two of you head into a small shop that seems to span not too far from the forge, with a almost handcrafted, very wonky sign that says tokens. Where, when you head in, it is definitely your traditional bits and bob shop. Everything is mismatched, everything is out of place but seems to still have its place. It has a collection of bits and baubles, jewellery, necklaces, rings, even bits of, I wouldn't say armour, more clothing. Just a wide variety of things, as well as, rather than a countertop, a back workbench that seems to have quite a lot of modified equipment on it. So not traditional tinker's tools or jeweller's tools. Everything has extra attachments or bigger handles or more magnifying glasses, more space to work, as the two proprietors of this shop seem to be almost pottering around. One of them appears to be tinkering and working with a ring at the moment. The other one just seems to be moving stuff around shelves. They are two half-elves, very much related as they are almost identical twins. The unusual thing about their appearance is one of them, the one that is tinkering, seems to be missing pretty much all of the right-hand side of his body. So, collarbone, shoulder, right arm, perhaps the top 3 ribs, as well as the way that he's sitting is almost on a slant, almost as if he's missing part of his pelvis. And the other has very similar injuries, but almost mirrored. So as if you were to stand them side by side, the injuries would be parallel. So one on the right and one on the left. As the one kind of pottering around sees the two of you coming into the shop. Wow, new faces. Not had them in a while. What can I do for you boys?
Suppose I would go up to one of the proprietors of this fine establishment and ask them, "Excuse me, I'm looking to equip myself with something to better protect me."
I would say you're probably better going and talking to Modak for armor, but you don't look like you wear any.
Yes, I'm quite opposed to plate armor at least. Do you have anything else that could be of use to me?
Not armor, but we do have a few trinkets that could probably help with increasing your durability. At least without weighing you down
What do you
at
have?
all. I think we've got a few rings, maybe a bauble or two. Although you do have something on your head, that might just be too much. I think we have a circlet or two that could perhaps do a very similar thing. But you don't want to clutter what you're wearing.
Simple, concealable, be preferred.
I mean, most jewellery is concealable. You can wear it whenever you want.
Well, what rings do you have?
He kind of laughs. It depends on how much you're willing to spend.
Well, I don't. Yeah, as you can see, I don't have pockets. I don't really carry money, but I'm willing to, trade skills for your wares.
Well, I don't really have anything I need. Well, there's nothing I really can think of you doing. Magically, that is, my brother and I are pretty adept ourselves. Most of the stuff here we either make or enhance, so magical skills not so much, but
I'm a healer.
well, there is that, but I was going to suggest if you were perhaps willing to more help us out, then I could supply you with a ring.
What ring do you have first? And then I'll decide if I can help you out.
Well, we have a few that offer basic enchantments. They would give you a small shield that would perhaps be able to take a few hits. Do have one that my brother was able to infuse with stone giant magic. That might be a little bit more. It's a bit more permanent, but it's.
Are all the can I see these rings on display anywhere?
Yeah, like he'll kind of walk over and take you to them. Most of them are, well, the kind of smaller ones he gestures that could offer perhaps immediate protection or kind of smaller protections or protection for a shorter amount of time are quite small bands. The one that he kind of talks about that is imbued with almost stone giant magic seems to almost be like a rock ring rather than made of metal. It does have metal inside of it, but it has that more stone appearance to it, similar to, I guess, the rock that attaches itself to Vranagash's belt.
I guess as a druid, I'm kind of opposed to metal and things that metallurgy, but obviously rocks in general have metal in them, ores, and things like that. So I guess the stone ring is catching my eye.
It's definitely
What-
one of our more unique pieces.
And it's imbued with magic of the stone giants.
Yes, they're traditionally very resilient. Some people even believe that. He kind of looks at Ranagash and kind of shrugs. Early orcs are descendant from them, so you have that going for you as well. They are pretty hardy people. At least the ones we have here. They can be pretty hardy and very annoying.
Would it only protect me from, tangible attacks, swords, axes, or does it also protect me from magic?
It would probably protect as a bit of both, I would imagine. Generalized wards or protections based on stone giant resistances, which can be physical, but giants are known to have some magical resilience as well. It would probably increase, I guess, your general resilience rather than specifically one or the other. We don't really do a lot of one or the others. That's usually Modak's job.
Okay. Well, I'm interested. So, what can I do for you in order to acquire this ring?
If you're not so opposed to it, we kind of need something testing. And, well, my brother and I are kind of magically numb.
Gestures to their infliction.
Waves with non-existent left hand.
Yeah. I suppose. What is it you need testing?
We found a trinket, you could say, whilst in the libraries exploring some of the back passages. We occasionally find baubles every so often, and we like to put our own spin on what they're made for or what their original purpose was, and Token's been tinkering with it. We don't know exactly what it does, and we don't know what the enhancements do, so it would be seeing what it would do. If anything, it might not do anything.
I'll be happy to take a look at it.
As he kind of heads over, taps the table, his brother kind of looks up. Yeah. I've found someone to help test the ring, see what happens. I offered a trade on one of our stone giant rings. As he kind of shrugs, that's expensive. Well, yes, but we need someone to test the ring, so I thought it'd be a fair trade, and he seems in need, and he's not going to go to Modak, so I thought it would help. As you kind of watch his brother rubs his temples and spins around on his seat. Token, this is a bad idea. I don't know what the ring does, and it might not even do anything. Exactly, but he said he would help. As the brother kind of gets up, takes the ring from almost a small claw that he's been using to tinker with it, and brings it over. It looks like a very simple gold band, though it has quite a ornate blue gem in it, as he kind of holds it out in his palm. I'm sure my brother's already said, but I will warn you, I don't actually know if this does anything.
Let me have a look at it. When he brought it over, was he holding it in his bare hand, or?
Yeah, just
No.
taking it in his right.
Okay,
Well,
so it's not gonna,
technically for him, it's his left hand.
It's not detrimental if you touch it.
Doesn't appear to be.
Although
he does also say he's magically numb, so.
I guess I'll detect magic on this ring.
It does appear to be magical to some degree. You're not too sure what school. It doesn't seem to pick up that, but it seems to be quite ancient magic, quite powerful magic, and I guess the only thing that you can pick up on from it is transmutation. Though transmutation is never the most dangerous school in the world. It's more of a party trick school.
Remind me mechanically what transmutation entails.
Transmutation magic is usually turning one thing into something else.
Yeah, just
So
not it'll turn the person into something else, or turn an object into something else.
It can turn an object into something else, it can turn a person into something else, it can change the colour of something, it can change the
so
scent of something. It's just turning one thing into something else.
Okay.
Altering the
No
state
worries.
of it.
I wasn't sure D&D wise transmutation means a specific thing, but
Like,
it's
for
quite
example,
broad.
one of the most common transmutation spells is
Prestidigitation.
polymorph.
Polymorph, sorry.
It's like transforming into
Prestidigitation
someone.
transformation?
I think
Let me
so.
I-
Prestidigitation is transmutation, yes.
Yeah, I think
Very correct.
Prestidigitation, Druidcraft, and Thaumaturgy are all Prestidigitation.
It's a
Prestidigitation.
message.
No,
It's such a...
transmutation.
Who came up with the word prestidigitation?
Why is message transmutation, Matthew?
I don't know, it just is.
That's strange. But then again, healing magic is also evocation, which is also strange.
We don't have time to unpack all that.
Well, so, I say to the gentleman, it appears to be... The ring is indeed magical in nature. It seems to be some form of transmutation magic.
Would you be so kind as to test it and see what it does? Understand, my brother and I are men of our words. He has agreed that if you do this for us, we will give you the ring. We're not going to back out on that.
And what if this ring were to cause me severe detriment to myself?
Then we will reimburse you with the trade, possibly something else, and take you up the stairs so the anti-magic field nullifies it.
Very well. I slip on the ring.
Can you give me a charisma saving throw?
The first roll of the night.
I know, we're well into the evening. It's not great, an 8.
That's not great at all.
No.
As Ranagash, you will see this. Marksar, you won't, I guess, really notice this. At least not to begin with. As Marksar pops on the ring, nothing really seems to happen. You don't really notice any difference in yourself, Marksar, at least not to begin with. Whereas, quite suddenly and quite quickly, Marksar starts to change colour and starts to turn a very bright and vibrant shade of blue. Like, I'm talking like
Okay.
electric blue. All of them. Skin tone, eye colour, iris, hair colour. The only thing that doesn't change is his clothes. But everything else is now just a very, very vibrant shade of blue.
Well, that's different.
That's not what I expected it to do.
Do I suffer any other ill effects?
Technically, yes. As you feel very strange, almost like your stomach's turning, your head's spinning, as the kind of colour settles and you're now this very vibrant shade of blue. You almost feel very strong, and then you feel very weak, and then you feel very sick, and then you feel almost very intelligent, and then you feel very wisdomous, and then you almost feel very talkative and charismatic, and all of a sudden you feel like, mechanically, all of your ability scores are jumping around. As for X amount of time, you're not too sure how long, out of character, whenever you make an ability check or a saving throw, before you roll the dice, you need to roll a d6, and then use on my table, the corresponding ability score instead of the actual ability score. So, for example,
Sorry.
so
You could make like an intelligence check using your strength modifier, for example.
yeah.
Or my
So-
strength and my wisdom.
So, for example, if you were to make like a medicine check, you would have to roll a d6 beforehand, and whatever number you rolled would correspond to a different ability score,
Okay.
and then you'd roll with that ability score instead.
Does it also apply to attack rolls?
Okay.
No, just ability scores and saving throws.
Okay, but I'm also blue.
Yes, you're also blue.
Okay.
Someone had to.
Queue up the Smurf memes for later. Or Avatar memes. Okay. But like, other than my sort of like my abilities feeling like they're changing, stuff like that, nothing else adverse is happening. It's not like I'm being sick or
Nope.
mutating in like gross proportions and stuff like that. Or...
Nope, you're just a very bright shade of blue and you feel a bit funky.
Okay, well, I take off the ring.
You're still a very bright shade of blue and still feel a bit funky.
Whoa.
How long will this last?
You don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna look up a spell real quick.
He's gonna try to dispel himself.
Yeah. Oh, what's the wording? Choose a creature, object, or a magical effect within range. Any third level or the target and spell level. I must make the DC's 10th spell on successful check. Okay. Does this count as a magical effect?
And Marcusar's eyes, it would count as a magical effect.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's not like a spell that's like on me, is it? I don't know.
It's an effect by a ring. It could be a magical effect. You're not too sure.
I'm going to remove the ring, place it back on the counter, and be careful with that. Handle it with gloves.
Well, it didn't turn us blue, it just turned you blue. I am very sorry you are now blue.
Let me see if I can correct it somehow, and I would like to dispel magic.
You're still blue.
Okay. Well, great. Wasted a spell slot.
At least we're not doing anything with them today.
Yeah, it's fine. Well...
And it appears not to be a magical effect as you turn back to your normal colours and then all of a sudden flash back and turn bright blue again. As it
Ranagash,
appears to be more of a curse.
Well, there's a specific spell for that one.
I have the opposite. I have
Yeah, bestow curse.
I have bestow curse.
Just throw in another one, they'll cancel out.
How it works, two
Yeah.
negatives make a positive, two curses make a
Curse.
right.
What was it?
Motherfucker.
What was it? They cured smallpox or something with syphilis? Like
Yeah,
one
they
counted
They cured smallpox with syphilis, yes. At least I'm pretty sure of that.
something like that. Or like no, it was no. It was milkmaids didn't get smallpox because they got cowpox.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. So cowpox. So let's just do that. No, I'm just kidding. Unless I'm like, can I be very specific with the curse?
It's usually more like a deafen or mute or blindness sort of thing.
Yeah. Ranagash, any ideas?
Unfortunately not, no.
Well.
Doesn't really resolve around lighting things on fire, so...
No, you're shit out, my friend.
Well,
He either changes the future or lights it on fire.
I'm a simple man.
as it's a curse, going into the anti-magic field they talk about, would that do anything?
You don't know because you don't know how strong it is and you don't know if that applies to curses.
I'll ask the gentleman. I don't seem to be able to end this effect, so is there anything you guys can do to help me?
No.
Is there anyone around here who could?
They kind of look at each other. Probably one of the Dragon Guard, but you don't want to see them.
Would they be reluctant to help me?
You'd have to go pretty far up to meet them, and
Is there any way of, jumping the queue on this one? I'm kind of blue right now. I'm feeling blue.
Yeah, there it is.
He rhymed. He Dr. Zeus blued it.
Not really. Travelers don't really go that far up, unless they've got special circumstances.
Would this not be classed as a unique special circumstance?
Not really.
How often? This isn't. This is just the everyday occurrence down here.
I mean, it's more just kind of buyer's remorse. You accepted a trade offer.
And you said you would help me. Should I suffer adverse effects, some detriment to my personal being? I think turning blue, I would count that as detriment to my well-being.
I mean, you're just blue.
I'm also suffering some very weird effects in regards to my abilities, I seem to be getting stronger and weaker, and I'm getting dumber and smarter by the second, and my D&D sheet is like a
roulette wheel.
It's just a roulette wheel right now.
Then I
Spin the wheel. -1 to wisdom.
Then I'd probably advise going to see the priestess at the small chapel, but if it's not a magical effect, which is what we were expecting, as they kind of look at each other, there's not much the anti-magic field can do, and the only people with that kind of magic, at least on the wall, that's permitted are the Dragon Guard.
Can I at least have the ring?
Yes, again, my brother and I are both of our word. We do apologise that you're now blue, but the ring is yours, and if you're looking for anything else, we don't mind compensating.
Well, she got.
Well, what else are you looking for? Either of you, as he kind of looks at Ran as well.
Oh, just by chance, do you have a ring that turns me not blue?
The kind of tinkery one kind of puts his hand up. I know it's not really what you're looking for, but we do actually have a chameleon ring. It wouldn't turn you not blue, but it might turn you a different colour.
A different colour.
Yeah. It's mostly used for camouflage.
Is it just turn me into different colours, or can it blend into backgrounds? If I were to put my hand on like the table or the wall or whatever, and be like, would it blend my hand into that?
More solid colours, yes. So not like backgrounds, but if you were to stand against a wall or sit on a chair, stand against a rock, that sort of thing.
Ranagash, do you need anything here? Because we're getting it for free.
I wasn't looking for anything in particular, I just thought I'd browse around, since we had the suggestion to do so.
I'll take both rings.
They kind of
Is
get
the
you.
chameleon ring like a metal band or anything like that?
It is more of a metal band, yeah.
Oh well, better than nothing. I might not wear it, but I'll offer it to the group.
As the more stone ring is a bit hefty, it's a bit weighty, probably made of raw rock and iron. As if you were to wear it, it is attunable. So what items you currently have at the moment? You have the moonsicle and you have your circlet,
Yes.
which are both attuned.
Yes. At this point, definitely.
So you have one more attunement slot. So you could use
I
this.
didn't know achievement slots were a thing.
You get 3.
You get 3 for
Well.
items that can be attuned. This would take up your last slot, but it would give you a +3 to your AC.
I like the sound of that.
There are
I'm
some classes and subclasses that give you more attunement slots, but none of us are playing any of those.
Okay, so that's the stone ring. What about the other ring?
The other one is also attunement style, and with it, it gives you advantage on stealth checks where you're considered to be expertise in the stealth skill.
So what was that? Sorry, I was right.
So advantage on all stealth checks where you're
Okay.
considered to be automatically expertise in the stealth skill.
That's not a terrible thing for me to have.
So double proficiency bonus with stealth.
Do we
You'd
need to
have
attune
to-
to both?
You'd have to give up one of your
Yeah,
attunements
you'd
to
have,
get that.
You could only have one or the
And
other.
I can't just like attune to one, remove it, and then attune to the other
It
You
one.
have to go
and then
through the timing process to reattune, which is like an hour to a full day.
It takes about an hour to attune to an item, and then you'd obviously have to unattune and reattune.
I'll take both, but I shall slip the stone ring on.
Is that just a flat increase to your AC of 3?
Fantastic. How large is the ring? It's like a very slender ring or quite a wide
It's
ring?
pretty wide, it's pretty chunky. Your fingers are more separated, I would say, in a natural. You can't really close them anymore.
It's more meaning like what finger would it be like best suited? Is it like thumb ring or like for me at least? I don't know.
I'd probably say for Marcusar, you'd probably be thumb or middle finger.
That's what I was thinking.
Because
I think
elf, you're kind of
we're on
you're
the
kind of
thumb.
slender. It's thumb or middle finger.
I'll go for the thumb. Well, and I'll pocket the other ring.
For later purposes.
I suppose. Thanks.
We are really sorry about turning you blue.
I knew what I was getting into.
Well, actually, no, you didn't, because we didn't.
But I'm used to significant changes in my anatomy.
We won't ask.
Well, Ranagash, if you don't need anything,
No, I'm fine. I think.
where are the others? Where should we meet up with them, or should we take a peruse of the market?
I don't know. Eidolon did say he would find us, but I suppose we can peruse if you would like.
Yeah, might as well. I
The only
guess-
other place I recommended was a place for Ranagash,
Mm-hmm.
which is just for
Was that
component stuff.
Is that Hephaestus flower?
Aye, aye.
Made no harm in checking that out.
Mm-hmm.
As you guys go to peruse.
Maybe they have something that can turn me not blue.
As you boys go to peruse, and Wulfric, you head to the smithy.
Yes.
Quite an advanced smithy by the looks of things, what you're more used to in Drakenel in terms of its quality and its build. Outside forge that has very smouldering embers in it. As before you even arrive, kind of walking up, kind of taking the space in this small plaza, there is quite a stout, broad-shouldered dwarf, almost metal plate over his face, keeping it from the embers, and almost a metal-plated leather apron that sits in front of him, keeping him cool or keeping him guarded from the smouldering fires. As he kind of looks at you, flicks the helmet up. Well, travellers only come this way if they're wanting one thing. What can I do for you, mate?
I was wondering if you could do anything to possibly upgrade my armor. I'm going to be going somewhere pretty dangerous at some point, and that would be greatly appreciated.
Well, most travellers here don't say they're going to somewhere pretty dangerous, but there's not much armour I can't work with. Just looking for some basic adjustments, making it a bit stronger, a bit hardier. It's got a few dents in it. Could polish those out.
And then anything that could be done to this, and he'll show off the dragon scale gauntlet.
His eyes kind of widen at that. Where did you get those?
Where else? From a dragon.
Yes, but there's not many dragons that look like that anymore. At least not normally, and there's not very many people who can work that scale. I can see what I can do. It's not my expertise. I'm usually metals, and, well, the few who can get those scales, they don't usually come in that good quality. So I can see what I can do on that as well.
Any metal additions also would be greatly appreciated.
Well, are you going somewhere warm or somewhere cold? That'll depend on the metal. You don't want something that's going to freeze.
Is Eidolon with me?
Not at this point. He's still... At this point, he would probably be leaving his father-in-law's home.
Would Eidolon have said if it was hot or cold?
You could probably assume because Ilvania's nearby and it's pretty cold here. So
Yeah.
I think we're moving into winter anyway, so...
The cold. Something that's a metal that's good in the cold.
Aye, that I can do. I think I probably have some scraps that I wouldn't even have to melt. I could just weld. The armour looks pretty solid, so I think I'd probably be able to withstand it as well. It would be pretty easy to do. Although... cost and coin always come into it.
I've got some coin, but what I don't have I can make up for any help that you may need.
Well, that's a first. Most travellers just throw coin at me. It's quite unusual that someone comes in offering trade, if that makes sense.
I like to do what I can.
That's fair enough. It's a good attitude to have around here. It's, well, it keeps you busy.
Yeah. Any shipments you need? Could I interest you in some kind of baked good? Do you have a particular favourite dessert? I am a baker.
Ellerant Master Chef.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say so. At least not for me. I don't have much in terms of, I guess, a sweet tooth. I think the
Could be
last
could
cake
be.
I probably had was at my friend's wedding, and that was over a decade ago. So that goes to show.
I can cook. It could be a savoury pie.
I'll Tell you what, I'll give you something a bit easier and something that can take up your time whilst I work on your armour. I have several blades and a fancy leather opener. Don't ask why, and probably don't ask him what it's for either. Head out of the marketplace, don't take my doors, go back the way you came. You'll get in trouble if you head out on the eastern balcony. Head down, you'll get to the central plaza in the new town. You're wanting to go left, and you'll find a small inn. I say small, it's pretty big. It's known as the Soldier's Respite, or the Respite. There's 2 innkeeps there. You're looking for Aranis. He is a gentleman and a half. He's broke several of his fencing equipment and needed it repaired. The fancy letter opener is for his partner, Aisha.
That can be done, absolutely.
So, I will let you get undressed and I will go and fetch the swords. It shouldn't take too long. It's only a few modifications to armour and perhaps a shifting of some scales to make a way stronger plate on the arm piece. I'll perhaps be done within the hour.
Alright.
As he kind of disappears inside and you start doffing your armour, where you remove the kind of powder and you remove the arm plate and you start unbuckling your kind of almost plate and mail by the time Eidolon joins you.
Wait, okay, so I'm heading into the smith, I imagine.
Well, you said you'd meet up to take him to the respite.
Alright, you ready to be going sometime?
Yeah, Where was that inn that you were meant to take me to at some point?
Soldier's Respite. It's got a training yard.
Fucking brilliant. Because I need to make this delivery in exchange for armor upgrades, so...
Strange to see Modak having people running errands.
I offered it. I
That might be right.
I did also offer him a pie. He did not accept, so it's just this.
He's not really a foodie.
It's a shame everybody. I mean, pie's so versatile. And they're like, he started to walk, and he's walking with Eidolon. He's like, but pie's such a versatile food, you know. You can put anything in a pie in theory. You can even put a smaller pie inside a pie.
I know they're close, but I'm a lot more partial to quiche myself.
You see, a quiche is good. A quiche is very good, but you have to be careful with a quiche. You have to be careful with a pie too. But some things don't go in a quiche.
I know, it's just... What you can make with a quiche, at least in my opinion, is better than what you can make with a pie.
Yeah, a mushroom quiche will always be better than a mushroom pie.
You're speaking my language, finally.
As the dwarf kind of comes out, filing several fencing swords back into almost a leather casing, sees you standing with Eidolon and kind of just stops, almost dropping the swords, fiddling with them in his hands. Eidolon?
Oh, I'm surprised he didn't mention. Hi, I'm back.
Then yes, he kind of turns to Wolfric and almost kind of bellowy laughs. Definitely don't go out my doors. He'll get arrested if you do.
Alright, I'll go back the way we came then. I will take these, sir. Thank you very much. I will return in due time for my upgrades. This is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Don't mention it. Thanks for running the errand, and Eidolon, I don't think you'll be in town for very long, so I will say hello and goodbye.
Listen, I need to make sure he knows where he's ended up going, but you've got him calling you sir.
He's polite, unlike some people.
Oh. No, I can't imagine it. No, that's your dad, that's not you.
I could get used to it.
Of course you could. I'll come back when he's back. I need time to actually chat before I'm gone.
Well, as long as you're not roping me into a scheme, a plan, or a pothole, happy to.
Oh, I'm sure Lilia would be happy to see you.
A jape, a scheme, a hijink even.
A townsfolk.
A bamboozle, if you will.
Where's the meeting?
We do a little bit of trolling.
And with that comment, I 100% assume you're going to get me into something I'm very much going to regret. So I'm going to say goodbye, pretend I never saw you, and possibly see you later.
Yeah, that'll do. That sounds about right.
As he kind of gives you a salute. Obviously, quite, in jest more than anything else. As he lets the two of you leave. As the two of you head towards a soldier's respite, Eidolon making sure you don't get lost, though it's pretty easy to navigate. It's not too far off the main road once you get down those stairs once more. Doing a lot of climbing these days. The respite is, I guess, what you'd get from a more traditional training yard / tavern. The building essentially surrounds a sand pit, which has been set up primarily for sparring and for fighting, as well as some test dummies and training dummies, as well as some old water weights. As obviously the two of you head in looking for the proprietors, where the inside very much smells of alcohol, though given the early time in the morning, it's not very populated. The two patrons, or the two owners, seemingly darting around and I guess fixing the establishment for the afternoon and for the evening. You can kind of see them repairing some bits and pieces, setting out some bits and pieces, moving some furniture, where the kind of elvish pair turn around, hearing the door go, looking at, well, the two of you. The female kind of throwing her arms open, kind of welcoming you both, seeing Eidolon. Ah, a traveller's always a welcome face, but Eidolon? Didn't know you were back in town.
Almost feel you're insulting me, calling me not a pleasant face.
As the gentleman walks across, well, you were never a pleasant face to her, but...
You've had enough years to get past flirting with me, Arane. Please stop.
And I'm not going to stop.
Wolfberg, you have a delivery. Please.
Yes, is this Aisha?
She kind of gives a nod. Aye, that's me.
And holds out the letter opener.
Oh, I was wondering when he'd get this back to me. It doesn't take him that long to sharpen a dagger.
There you go.
Thank you.
I have some swords to give to your partner. I will be right back.
As he kind of goes and finishes polishing almost the table, and turns around. These will be my fencing blades then, yes?
Yes. Where would you like me to put them?
Anywhere. I'll sort them later. As long as you don't go crashing them around, but...
Is there like an umbrella, like a place where people would put umbrellas?
No, but there are several almost like sword racks that sit against the back wall.
Just kind of put them in the sword rack.
Appreciated. I'm assuming errand run for Modak?
Yes, in exchange for getting some armor upgraded.
Well, I'd say we don't have a better smith on the wall, but we only have one, so he's as good as you get.
Understood.
Don't give him lip, he does free work for you.
He does free work for everyone on the wall, Eidolon.
Hence, don't give him lip.
He was a bit surprised by my gauntlet, but in other words, he knows what he's doing.
Not much surprises him. Kind of chuckles. What was it made out of?
Dragon scale.
They both kind of look at each other and look at Eidolon. Aisha kind of... there's not many dragons. Well, not many dragons left, anyway.
And there's fewer now.
Wolfberg, you wanted to go train?
Yes, I'm interested in your training facilities.
Well, she kind of laughs, almost shaking the topic off. You're welcome to them. Most watchmen take the time to relax here, train on their own accords, practice what they want, so the yards are free, and if you want not to dull your own blade, you're welcome to any of our training equipment.
Excellent, thank you very much. Do you have weights? That is also something I partake in.
We have a collection of water weights, and nothing too special, I guess. A lot of the watchmen are a little bit more agile than they are strong. Only a few of them actually ever use them, so we've never, I guess, upgraded to something heavier.
Like plates. Plates are easy enough to make. Right. Let's go see the training grounds.
As I can happily lead Wolfric there.
Yeah.
As just when we're out of earshot just a tiny bit, I would turn to Wolfric and just say,
Do remember the type of dragon you killed to get that.
Yes, I just said it was a dragon. I didn't specify.
I'm aware, but especially with if you showed that to Modak, he'll have recognized the type of scale.
I mean, I kinda had to if he was gonna upgrade it. He looked a bit perturbed. I vaguely explained.
It'll be fine.
He asked no further questions.
It'll be fine. And do you mind if I actually train with you today?
Of course. Go ahead. Can't believe this place doesn't have a bench press. I'm gonna go fucking insane here.
Was that Wolfric or Ewan?
That's Wolfric. You can't bench for shit. Have you seen me?
Wolfric, that's here. If up there goes well, you'll have full access to our actual training facilities.
Oh, let's fucking go.
And,
Oh.
well, I hope you meet Commander Dracos on good terms.
I'm just imagining that, like, the wall of Aramba is this, like, incredibly ornate, well-designed, like, string of structures and buildings, and there's just a pure gym slotted in there.
It's 24/7 too.
Yeah.
24/7. There's a pure gym, and then, like, there's a subway right next to it, but, like, the rest of it's like,
No, not a Subway, better quality, it's a fucking Greg's.
it's a fucking Greg's.
Oh, I should have had someone named Greg on the wall now.
Well, you can still change, you've got time.
Me when I've got time.
I've got time.
As if we're heading to the training facilities, you said they were outside?
Mhm.
As it's training for mainly watchmen, Wolfric would notice Eidolon actually take off the small bits of armor that he's got left. Take away his blades too, and head over to, and I'm assuming they'd hopefully have one. It's the old like the wooden dummy martial arts machines with like the rotating different
they have
compartments. As that's what Eidolon would be training on.
Wolfric,
Getting back in, punching, getting back into dodging.
Wolfric trains with water weights. Eidolon changes with martial dummy.
And then Wolfric will try out one of the martial dummies. He's like, you know, I've never punched some. I've punched things, but I've never considered punching.
You just see Eidolon stop, put one foot on the bottom rung, and then just grab the top rung before it swings into his head.
Well, give it a shot.
Can you give me dex? Acrobatics if you have it.
Do I look like I have fucking acrobatics?
I believe in you, Ewan.
Oh,
it's
nice!
19!
He's keeping up!
Wolfric, for someone who's never really done, I guess, punching or kicking, kind of that more martial arts style, it would seem training with Wilhelm, obviously him being polearm rather than heavy weaponry, it definitely seems his footwork has come in handy. You are pretty skillful with this thing. You are taking you're not taking a lot of hits, you're dishing out a lot of hits, you're able to block quite finessely. Kicking is probably where you fall down, you're used to more solid stances, but yeah, you're definitely able to keep up with Eidolon.
You're keeping up, old man.
I'm not that stupid. I'm just imagining that, like, Eidolon has this very fluid kind of martial art style, if I'm correct.
With punches and kicks, definitely, 100%.
Yeah, I imagine Wolfric fights like a bare knuckle boxer.
Yeah, it's like there's a few ducks.
It's Bruce Lee,
knees, but
Muhammad
it's like-
Ali.
It's more of solid stance, a few movements of the foot, but it's mostly like ducking and weaving, moving out the way. Whereas Eidolon's almost jumping around the thing.
And it's like less, rather than like precise like jabs, it's haymakers that would take your jaw off if you were a real person.
Well, he does have the strength for it. He do be strong though.
Just as they're doing it, Eidolon would look over and just,
You know, Wolfric, we've never actually sparred before. We've been traveling for months.
I think it's honestly just because we've been traveling and we're so used to getting the shit kicked out of us by things that actually want to kill us that it's never crossed our mind to kick the shit out of each other for the fun of it.
And no, I've always had fun sparring. If we've got the time, I'd quite like to.
Yeah. I don't think we have the time now. Like,
No,
unless
this-
yeah.
This is warming up, sadly. If things go well on the wall, Who knows? I could take you to the sparring hall.
Yeah.
As in the
Fucking
interim,
great job on that dex check. Plus a 0, it's a 19.
as in the interim, kind of, I guess, last pit stop before the boys rejoin each other. Wolfric picking up his armor, and you guys deciding how to get onto the wall through your choices. Marksar, Ranagash, you guys head to the Hephaestus Flower, a primarily floral herb shop. A little bit of an apothecary dealing in potions and herbs as well. As you kind of head in, and at least for Ranagash, the kind of woman that is standing almost tending to several of the flowers looks, I would say, slightly familiar. I wouldn't say very familiar. She looks very tired. She looks almost quite sad in her expression as she's tending to several of the petals, but has the similar face shape and almost aged golden hair that looks very similar to the images you've had of Faerith. As kind of turning, hearing the two of you come into her shop, she kind of almost waves you just a kind of almost not a dismissive hand, but just a passive greeting. If you want anything in particular, just let me know. Or if you're looking for anything specific, you can ask.
Marksar on the way here would have probably pulled his hood up. At this point, he would have maybe pulled it down and just like, you wouldn't have anything that could change a man back to his normal colour, would you?
Normal colour, like a fever, a temperature, pneumonia.
And get pull the hood down like fully, and is like, this.
She kind of looks up. You're blue.
So it's that noticeable, huh?
How did you, if you don't mind me asking, turn blue?
Oh, I'm just a bit sad today. No, I tried on a dodgy ring at Tokens.
The twins can be a bit tricksy with the trinkets they pick up. Most of them are cursed. I'm afraid flowers don't really override curses. I can give you something to at least make it not as bright.
Like, how bright are we talking? Like, you said it's a bright, like, am I like a beacon?
Like, I wouldn't say you're shiny, but the shade is electric blue.
No, I should be fine, but I thought I'd at least ask.
No.
They mentioned, what was it? Who was it they mentioned earlier? The dragon, whatever. Dragon Ward?
Dragon Guard.
Dragon Guard, sorry. They mentioned perhaps the Dragon Guard could help me, but that they wouldn't speak to the likes of me.
No. Your clientele, the people who would actually speak to you here, are most of us shopkeepers. The Watchmen and the Dragon Guard don't really talk to outsiders unless they have a reason to go on the wall. And trust me, if you have a reason to go on the wall, you probably don't want to go there in the first place.
Let's say I did have a reason to go on the wall.
Let's say, hypothetically.
Let's say, hypothetically, I did have a reason to go on the wall.
She kind of puts a hand on her head and shakes it. You're my son's friends, then.
Sorry, I don't believe I'm familiar with your son.
Sorry. My son-in-law. Lissa came in to pick up some extra stuff and said Eidolon was home with some friends.
Gives a look to Ranagash like, do we just go with it? And like, they already know we're here, might as well just...
I mean, they know we're here, but
Yeah.
they know we're up to hijinks. We don't need to clarify on our hijinks.
Not low jinx, high jinx.
Hijinks.
Yes, I am. We are associates of Eidolon. Friends, even.
I will definitely have to have a word with him when I see him. The fact that he's not come to see me just yet, but
We're quite busy as it is. Perhaps he will visit later.
Well,
If I see him, I'll send him your way.
if he's not come to see me on himself, it means he hasn't. It means he's still on his little quest. So that's none of my concern at the moment. Sadly, I don't actually have any information to give him pertaining to that at the moment. Yes. Pertaining to you being blue, if you are friends of him, then you will likely be on the wall at some point, so perhaps in the passing, when they are, you know, intermittently taking breaks from prosecuting you, you could ask them to fix you not being blue.
I'm sure they'll afford me the kindness.
Azariah might.
Bulwark, correct?
Yes.
Look, I kind of like look around the shop, and it's a very lovely establishment you have.
Thank you. It was larger. My daughter worked in the shop, and we kind of run it together. It's been a lot smaller since Faye died.
It's good to know that in a place like this, you still find beauty in it. And, like, look at all the flowers. Run my hand through a couple of them.
As the two of you come out and come around the corner, we're heading back to the gravel forge. The four of you are once again regrouped.
Who's still up?
I like to imagine Wolfric and Eidolon probably look very content after.
Well, yeah, the two of
Yes.
you have just had a pretty good training session, a pretty good, like, you know, essentially sesh at the gym.
Hell yeah.
It literally was a gym sesh.
Where meeting back up with Ranagash and Marcusar kind of in the central bit of the market as you're just heading back to the gravel forge. Eidolon, with your passive perception, Marcusar's blue.
And with my passive perception,
Something looks wrong with Marcusar, you're not really sure what. He's like really, like, the sleeves are all the way down, the hood's all the way up. Like, he looks kind of funky, but you can't put your finger on why.
Marcusar, you look weirder than usual.
I had a little incident at Tokens.
Tell me, was them turning you blue a practical joke or an accident?
And at what point I would probably like lift my head up and like sort of make myself more known to Wolfric.
Yeah, Wolfric, he's bright blue.
Wolfric is on the floor. Wolfric is genuinely just fucking like pissing himself laughing. He's just like, you're fucking.
Hey Marcusar, top tip. You can keep the hood down. We've seen weirder shit walk out of Tokens.
Okay, well,
No one's
Take
gonna judge you whilst you're in the marketplace.
You look like a fucking Smurf.
What's a smurf?
Smurfs exist in Elrond now.
Oh,
It's a
no.
it's a small cartoon, written in
What the
Old Hall.
fucking cartoon?
Oh, you know, a comic, little drawings.
Yeah, they're like books as well.
I did as you suggested and offered my skills in exchange for little items, and I did acquire a couple of rings at the cost of my dignity.
They've taken a lot worse. Actually, they've taken someone's dignity, but like, they gave them an item and it literally took away the person's dignity. Like,
Wow.
you got lucky being blue.
How does that work?
When you pick up ancient enchantments from a library that contains ancient enchantments, you don't know how they work.
They said that the Dragon Guard could perhaps remove this curse, but I'm not likely to interact with them.
Well, if you still want to swing by the chapel, we can see if Sierra's there. I know she'd be able to fix this.
That would be most welcome. Would anyone have use for a ring that could change the colour of them?
No, I don't want to touch that.
I know this to not be. It won't turn you blue like myself, but it
No.
will
It goes nowhere near me.
I don't know how to explain this in in-game terms, but my attunement slots are filled, so I have no purpose taking the ring.
I don't want it. I don't.
I don't want. No, bad. I don't want it.
I do not want to run the risk of even possibly turning blue.
Well, I'll just.
Wolfric likes his skin color too much.
Perhaps I can trade it elsewhere. But yes, let's please chapel now.
Well, Wolfric's going to pick up his armor first.
Oh, of course.
As returning to the forge, your armor looks very shiny now. It's not as dented, not as broken. He's taken out quite a few of the broken links and replaced them, as well as reinforcing it so that the knit is a lot tighter. As the dwarf kind of looks around, sees Marcusar's blue, kind of looks at Eidolon and laughs, sorting some of just a few loose straps on Wolfric's armor as he's doing so. You didn't warn him about tokens, did you?
No, but I think coming from you would be a lot more pungent of a warning.
I think it's fucking hilarious.
It is, it's fucking great. Eidolon walks in here with 3 green sand. One of them's now blue.
Everybody, this is Modak. He's an idiot, but a lovable one.
Yeah. If I'm an idiot, what does that make you?
I never denied being an absolute fucking fool.
You've made one good choice in your life, mate. One.
I'm not denying it. Actually, no, I'd say I've made 2 now.
I'm still yet to see a second one then.
I'm keeping this idiot around as I'm pointing at Wolfric.
Speaking of that, finished up your plate, finished up your mail,
Thanks so-
and did what I can to your arm piece. The scales
Thank you
are
so much, sir.
the scales are difficult to work with, but I did it. It might be a little bit heavier, but not really much I
I
can fix.
anticipated that.
Yeah, I kind of assumed, but you know, gotta make sure. There are some people who think adjustments to armor make the things feckin' lighter, so
That's just daft. If you're adding more metal, it's gonna get heavier.
yeah, well, you're kinda... In terms of levels of intelligence, Eidolon's like maybe 4 or 5 steps above your average. Most watchmen are down here somewhere as he like slams his hand on the floor.
The education system on the wall must be in shambles.
Steel is heavier than feathers.
Have you considered consulting with pedagogical officials from the Citadel? Because I believe a severe overhaul is in need.
Here, there are 2 types of education. You fight, or you work. Eidolon just got the brains of his mother because she wouldn't let him actually fight properly. Until he was, what, 13?
Listen, you don't need to oust me as an incompetent fighter. That
That's-
comes later.
That's depressing as fuck.
Oh, he had the sword since he was 8, but he couldn't fight with it.
Am I the only one within a fucking country mile with like a high school level education?
I've studied law.
What's a high school?
Fuck off. Forget that you don't know that.
30 years old, no education.
Eidolon's also not joking when he says he studied law.
Yeah, you are a lawyer.
I'm a law graduate.
I went to the School of Hard Knocks, the University of Life.
You went to the University of Eco-Terrorism.
He graduated with flying colours. The exit exam is killing an innocent child.
No, don't do that.
As for yourself, Wolfric, obviously putting on your armor, donning it again. It is heavier, but again, you expected that. As from improvements for that and for your arm piece, your AC increases by 2. Plus 1 to each.
yes!
Is that 20 AC?
20 AC!
Hot damn!
As the work is very nice. It's very comfortable. Not a lot of maneuverability, but you don't really need that in a lot of things. But it feels pretty good. As attempting to go and fix Marcusar being blue, and
Actually, I would like to ask Modak one thing before we leave.
go for it.
As I'd more just turn to him whilst Wolfric's getting himself fitted in the armor.
Just because I know you set up near there, you don't know if Daphne's been let out of the beacon yet, right?
No.
Ah. Well, I know you can't enchant a blade, and I know Savelis wouldn't for the life of him. So, I had to ask.
I mean, let's be honest, you know where her room is, and I've seen you scale a 700-foot wall.
It's a give and take situation, alright?
No, she has not been out of the beacon, not since your court-martial, and Savelis found her on your list.
I'll drop in an apology if I ask for an enchantment.
I mean, I don't think she cares, I just think he cares.
Well, evidently, but still.
A similar level to Eleanor's father. Before.
I'd be happy to jest, but that's not right.
Hence.
Has she been by recently?
Not by here, though she did return to the wall very recently. I think she went up to the barracks with Canaris. They were on a scouting mission on the mountains.
And has Iris had her weapons tended to recently?
No, in fact. She's been very absent as of late.
Do you know if she just hasn't left, or...?
No, from what I've heard, she's pretty much gone AWOL. At least in terms of her movements. She's not been reporting in, she's been disappearing. She's very rarely in the dorms. I've not tended to her weapons nor her armour in nearly 3 months. I don't know if Ramira's seen her at all. I've not been to the libraries, I've not checked.
I'll check with her. If anybody's seen her, it's her.
But no, from what I've heard, she's almost disappeared.
You know me is not the type to elaborate, but it does make sense. So I'm not too worried, but...
Well, I only get the second hand from what I hear from when your watchmen gossip.
Oh, just so you know, we're off to kill Gairdra.
Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to say that, and I also have a sinking feeling that you're going to ask me something.
Nah. Don't want to put you at risk. Done that too many times.
Yes, because I would very much refuse. I'm not doing that.
Hence, I'm not going to do it. Just thought you'd like to know.
All I can say is be careful.
Can't do that. Sorry.
Yeah, well, there's not much else I can say, because... Well, let's face it, if you're not careful, you're going to die. There's not a in-between.
We'll see. We've got someone to get unblued.
Hi.
It's not really your colour.
Matches my hair. Kind of.
Maybe a different shade then.
See you later, Modak.
Eidolon. As he kind of gives Eidolon a almost jesting salute and the rest of you a wave. As you head to obviously go and unblue Marcusar and perhaps begin your pursuits onto the wall, doing the last few bits and bobs before we do some espionage. Though, with a little bit of an equipment upgrade for some of you, and some RP for some other of you. Craig.
Hello, that's me.
We will take your first day in Aramba and cut it here, where you'll have met Eidolon's parents and done a little bit of shopping, getting a little bit of
we have to
insight.
keep going.
You're...
We have to keep. It's 34 minutes, and Matthew's up past midnight.
No, this is the cut-off point for this session. Next session we'll unblue you and we'll go over the wall.
Oh. I suppose.
I mean, I wasn't expecting you to be blue, but cut-off point works here.
Okay. Fair enough.
Good night at home.
As for now, it is goodbye from me, and it is goodbye from my boys and a very upset Paul.
I'm feeling blue.
Dabba-dee dabba-die.